Hey, everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another One Filmmaker, One Film. And today, my guest is
Brooks Davis. Work with Full Moon Features, where I'm a director, assistant director, even slash editor, camera guy, and all the way down to customer service. So you may have been missing something from your order. If you've emailed us, you've got a letter from me, but I do it all.
well, and a mover, because you told me that you were helping them move locations, like office locations.
Oh yeah. Luckily, I mostly stuff I moved was of my own, which was nice. But yeah, we've been moving into a new office finally after the COVID era of working from home. We're back up and running at a nice office in kind of the Wilshire district of. Oh, and by the way, if you hear a buzz throughout this, it's just my router. The battery's shorted and I can't reach it for now. So don't be alarmed. Nothing's going to explode.
No, it's
so office in Wilshire, and we're getting back to real life and going back to the way things were before COVID and staying at home all day.
So what does that exactly mean? Because you guys did some COVID movies, how does that kind of go back to normal?
Well, it means getting back to doing a commute and working in an office. That's the main thing. We were able to take advantage of the COVID era to, capitalize on it, if you will, for Corona Zombies, which led to our kind of little Barbie Kendra trilogy. And those were shot, within the same house, same crew. We tested, we made sure everyone was cool, wore masks. And it was maybe a half a day shoot. And a lot of that was edited into a pre-existing movie. So as I saw it, was kind of like pandemic type entertainment, kind of made on the fly, made guerrilla style. And used just to make some content for while we ride this, lockdown out, however it lasted. And from there, we started doing like the Resonator and even Gingerweed Band. We shot during, lockdown pandemic and adhered to the safety and everything. And it's different and maybe sometimes annoying, but we played it safe and love that mug.
Yes, this is the Evil Bong 777. There's your guy right there.
Oh man, that's a classic. I don't think I have one. I've got to check. I've got to talk to my guys in the office.
Yeah, this was part of the I helped with crowdfunding.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot that we did a crowdfunding on that one.
Yeah, so I got like a couple DVDs for different stuff and mugs and all that. So
awesome. Well, no,
yeah,
I have to talk to somebody. We might have some of those left over for old me.
Yeah, I figured this would be appropriate for our show today.
You know your audience well, John. I love it.
Yes, thank you. But please continue. I did not want my mug to interfere.
No, what the hell was I talking about?
Getting back to normal.
Oh yeah, getting back to normal. So we've kind of almost been in this weird flux of where we've never stopped. We went from having an office in LA, which we shut down, and we were just all satellite working from home, but we got features going. And now it's kind of back to a centralized hub, think tank, and we're around everybody now. So it's kind of a new thing, being out and just kind of getting back to that routine, like, getting up in the morning and having to do a drive instead of getting up in the morning and walking over to the computer at the last minute.
Yeah.
Work from your underwear all day.
Or you got your coffee in one hand, you got a beer in the other hand,
Yeah, I can wake and bake and just, I'm good, Charlie. What's lunch?
There you go. So yeah, it's I'm happy to see that you guys are back. And the one thing that kind of confused me a little bit was Corona Zombies.
Okay.
And because that was you kind of redubbed in a way, kind of like what Woody Allen did with What's Up, Tiger Lily.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole premise.
Yeah, Hell of the Living Dead. And I'm like, wait, I didn't know that they owned the rights to that. Wait, what? Are they just kind of doing it to do it, or what's going on?
Some of those decisions were probably made above my pay grade. I don't know the full story. At some point, we must have had, or we probably do at some way have some sort of a streaming right to the movie, whether it's on our Full Moon Features or Amazon channel, which are two of the same, just different locations, and you got to pay for either one. That could have been it. And it was just kind of said, oh, hey, that'd be a great movie to riff off of. So there you go. And so far, we've gotten away with it. No one's really said anything.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Too loud next time, John.
Yeah.
That's all good.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah,
Um, no, I mean it's funny, and you need to keep things moving. I mean, I know other filmmakers did their versions of like kind of like Corona films where they had people shoot their own footage and then send it in, and it was almost kind of like 5-10 minute little anthology pieces, and
yeah, I
everybody,
saw a
a
few
lot
of
of people
those,
kind
you
of
know,
did
and
their own. Yeah.
yeah, some
So,
were good, some were like, woof.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, you know, exactly. I think we know what we're talking about. But you know, with Full Moon, you know, Charlie just got the idea and just, I think it was with William Butler too, kind of, you know, started that discussions, and we thought, hey, why not? Let's see if it works. And you know, I think at the time we were the first little studio that really took advantage of the Corona theme, and we took some heat for it. You know, people were like, "Oh my God, how dare you make a movie and people are dying?" And
calm
you
down.
know, it's just it's what horror movies, what companies like us do. We exploit the situation. We say something
Sure.
funny, and you know, it was early, whatever. And if you watch the movie, of course, it's silly, it's fun, it's don't take this seriously. And what we needed at that time was humor, and, you know, and people were confused, angry, and I think there's a large population that wanted just to laugh about this. And to me, that's what this movie represented and served as. You know, just
Well,
relax. You know, we're going to get through this, but let's have some fun.
yeah, I mean, and if people think that it's taking advantage of, I mean, that's it's. I remember back in the '90s when I was in LA and there was the Northridge earthquake, and all those bridges and houses and stuff fell.
Oh yeah, right here too.
You immediately heard about Roger Corman going out and shooting all that footage. He
Oh,
had guys out there
exactly.
shooting that, and then he made a film called Quake with Stephen Railsback, and it's like, are you exploiting it? Are you, you know? But it's like, no, you have an earthquake. If you see an ambulance and fire trucks, and I recently had out here SWAT was trying to get some guy out,
Oh
and it was
wow.
all
Oh,
over
I
the
saw. Yeah, I saw all those photos. Yeah, it's
yeah.
nuts.
And people were messaging me going, dude, you better be filming this because you can use it in a movie. And unfortunately, I couldn't. There was just really no way unless I was setting up lights and getting the
Yeah,
camera
it's
out.
always great saying, but same situation. Like, holy crap, I've got a crime scene going here, but yeah, I want to lit it this way, so why even bother?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they
Where's my
kept
China
telling
ball?
us, yeah, to go back inside. And so it's like, crap, this would be a great opportunity. So I mean, sometimes you take advantage of it and sometimes you don't or can't. But it's I think that it's smart to take advantage of it.
No, I
And
agree. I
people
mean,
obviously enjoyed Corona Zombies because then you continued it, you know, that type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, no, I agree with you. To me, it's again, if you're not responsible for the disaster, really, you know, it's not bad, and no one's really getting hurt. I mean, like I say, Corman's a pro at this. That's what he did back with the Poe movies. You know, they had a giant forest fire. So, oh, great! I can open the movie. The guy riding his horse with this dead forest. You know, little fog machines. This place looks like
Right.
it's, you know, decayed, dying. Or another one, the man with the X-ray eyes. There was a building being built, so he just did a time lapse so you could see the building. You know, finally the thing. Then as he got the X-ray eyes, you could see into it. So he like shot the reverse of this building being, you know, built. So with low budget filmmaking, you know, you've got to take advantage of these little tricks and ideas and resources, if you will, play to what you have. You know, I know like with your movies, you know, trying to get the storage facility and play in that, and that
Right.
offers so many advantages. And you know, you can plan out a whole movie, but you got to make sure you've got that location, work with it. And I think
Yeah.
that's a great thing. And what I love about low budget filmmaking is figuring out how to pull these things off so they don't look obviously like, okay, I was shot in one location, it's one hallway. You know, let's open this up and have fun with it.
Well, and it's, you know, you bringing up the storage facility is, you know, you write what you know and you write what you have. And I have
Exactly.
and I got a storage facility, so I've done many things in there. And you know, the Axis films will be probably one of the last things I do. But even a company like Full Moon, if you watch some of their films where there's an office, well, all of a sudden there's the poster for Trancers, or there's the you know, the poster for something else, and you're like, oh, that's their office that they're using. And so instead of renting an office, you just use the office you have.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, no. We you know, we're shameless self promoters anyway, so anytime we can hang a poster, we'll hang it somewhere. You know, a lot of it is finding stages that have these pre-made sets that you can, either, oh, good, I need an apartment. So boom, there's an apartment. Stuff you just redress for your needs or redress to look like something else.
Right.
And when we get talking to Gingerweed Man later, I can tell you all about, how we redressed where we've shot that. But yeah,
and I was paying attention. I was watching.
There you go. And at Full Moon, we have that big mansion in Cleveland now where we've shot a couple of things. And there's a matter of one location and tricking it out to look like a house. And then with the Resonator sequels, it's like a university plus a house plus a this and, whole rigmarole. So again, it just comes down to creative thinking and really knowing how you can milk a situation.
Well, yeah, and you've been out here, I believe, a couple times using the Artisan, hotel.
Artisan is a fantastic spot.
That place is amazing.
Control Studios.
Yeah, and then Tom Devlin's Monster Museum.
Oh, yeah. Big props to Tom Devlin, who's our guy out there in Boulder, and he sent his crew out to work with me, and fantastic guys. And you were with us on Evil Bong 777 as our AC camera guy and slate guy and all that great stuff.
I gotta say that I don't think Lindsay and Howard were tremendously happy with me.
Well, so, they can be persnickety.
Yeah, they told me that I had replaced somebody. Like they asked, have you done slate? Which I have. I mean, I've done slate for like 10 years or whatever, whenever it's needed. And I still do slate on films out here. And everybody does slate a little different. Some people like it to be very detailed, where other people are like, scene one, take one, get out, and then you're gone.
It's a hard balance. I've been in the same position.
Yeah, and so when I was working with them, I was used to, this is the film title, this is the director, this is the DP, this is the scene, this is me shooting during the day, and they would be like, no, don't do that, just do this. Yeah. And I couldn't get out of that mode for like 2 days. And I'm like, oh crap, I know they hate me. I know they hate me.
Oh no, I was the same way. When I started, I started as a PA with Full Moon, and free intern, just kind of working in the office, helping out here or there, hoping to get on a shoot. Got on a shoot. I was a PA, worked my way up, and kind of same thing. I was doing slate because we're small crews and trying to help out where we can, and trying to get my way into the camera crew and work with everybody. And same thing, I'd do the slate a certain way, like this way, and either I was slapping it too loud or doing it not fast enough, or again, it's like this real quick, boom, 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 or whatever. So it's almost a rite of passage. It's almost like you gotta get your balls busted a little bit, and then you come out fine. But every DP is different. I've done so many shoots, and like you said, they want list the whole thing. Others just say 1-to-1. Just get out of the way. Just get out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, like out here, I work with Joe Lujan a lot, and I do sound primarily for him. So I'm so I got the boom here, and I got the zoom, and then I got the slate, and and I'm doing this, and then hitting back in the sound again. And I actually took away a lot from working on Evil Bong 777. It actually helped me afterwards with just moving fast. So on my shoots, I don't have them list everything. It's you could see the slate. And we're not making 8 movies, we're making one film. So you don't have to say Aximus, just say, take one, scene 5, click and get out.
Yeah, like you say, that's the one thing I love working at Full Moon is, the way we shoot things. It is a film boot camp, almost, like if you're to watch a reality show where, okay, you're going to make a movie in 5 days, go. That's what it is. And it really teaches you to whittle stuff down to, like you say, as simple as slating something, where you don't have to explain everything. Just get right to the point. Boom, bang, go. And that's almost a metaphor of, this filmmaking. It's like, get right to the nuts and bolts. You only have this much time, this much money. What can you do? Boom, do it. Boom, go.
Yeah, I asked Danny Draven, who was amazing on set with me.
He's a big mentor of mine. I love that guy.
When I saw him on set, I'm like, oh my God, that's Danny Draven. And I walked up to him and I had a full-on conversation to where somebody actually had to call me away because we were talking so much. And I said, hey, if I brought you in a DVD, can you sign it for me? And he goes, sure. I bring in one DVD. He brings me in a bag.
Oh wow!
Of CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays.
The Danny Draven store.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing! Thank you. Such a nice guy to do all that too. And but because I knew he was editing Evil Bong 777, I wanted to ask him, like, how do you want me to do this? And he's just like, whatever they tell you to do, that, I'll work it out. I've edited many movies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
he's
it was
kind of the Full Moon family. You kind of know what you're getting, and you're just happy, like I say, even if you can find the slate period.
right. Yeah. So because I do want to get into Gingerweed,
Oh,
man.
for sure.
So I'm going to show you some stuff that I have here.
Okay.
And this is to let people know out there, this is like a hair of the Full Moon stuff I have, because, and I'll say this quickly and then we'll move on to this stuff, is I was watching Charles Band films before I even knew who Charles Band was. I'm about to turn 55. I was born in 67. My mother used to take me to the drive-in all the time. My favorite drive-in movie, because then eventually it went over to TV, was Laser Blast.
Yep.
I had no idea who Charles Band was. I had no idea. All I know is that the guy looked like Mark Hamill from Star Wars, and he blows up a Star Wars sign. Yeah. And I'm just like, and then I saw it on TV. And so I've been watching Empire. I used to work at a movie theater. I was an usher, and we played all the Empire films. So we played Ghoulies, Troll. We were the Empire theater, which was pretty cool. So somehow, some way, Full Moon or Empire or Charles Band or Trancers or these types of films, Evil Bong had been in my life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So
exactly like me, I was same thing. I just went to the movies. Dungeon Master, that was my first introduction. So
yes,
I remember
we played
this commercial with this little weird puppet, Rat Spit.
Rat Spit. We love puppet. Rat Spit.
Yeah, I was like, I have to see this movie. And I remember going. It was the first movie that was so short that there was like this little weird sports mini movie before it. And so I'm like, what's this water skiing documentary? I came to see Rat Spit. But I remember seeing that name, Charles Band, and then Reanimator came out, and I remember, controversial, but there was that name, Charles Band. Ghoulies came out, and the Ghoulies Gremlins back and forth. I saw that name, Charles Band. And
right.
Before you know it, you're sucked into his universe. You're, I think kids in the 60s were sucked into Roger Corman with all the various movies he made, produced.
Oh yeah.
We were that way. Metal Storm. I remember that trailer with the arm being ripped off in 3D, and just everything. And then all of a sudden, I'm at a video store watching this Puppet Master movie, and there's his name again, Charles Band. And it's just like, I'll get into it later too when we talk about more. But yeah, I just felt like I had this weird path that was always leading me to here, whether I knew it or not. And it's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, because at the Tamalpais Theater is what it was called up in Marin County. And it was definitely the low rent theater, as opposed to the theater that was owned by Lucas and Coppola and all that, because that's all Lucasville up there. And we got Dungeon Master, but they didn't tell us in what order to put the reels.
Oh man.
So the projectionist, and for young people, this is when everything was on film, he put them on wrong, but we didn't know it, but the film still made sense.
Yeah, it's weird that way, since Shout's released it, they've added this weird sexual opening where he's chasing his nude woman around, and it's like, I don't remember seeing that in the movie, and it makes no sense. And like I said, you start watching the movie, and yeah, it's crazy, it makes no sense, but you're just like, I love it. I mean, there's even a great Dungeon Master reference in Gingerweed, man. I don't know if you caught it.
I wrote that down. Yes, I did.
You're one of the few. I just worked with Jeffrey Byron on the Resonator movies, and for me, I was just like, holy crap, you're from Metal Storm, you're from Dungeon Master, holy crap, where have you been? That was so cool, and what an experience.
Well, and my manager, who was I got fired from one theater, the Lucas Theater. I got fired from there. He brought me on to the Tamalpais Theater. His name is Cliff Macmillan. I don't know if that name sounds familiar, but he's the guy that basically runs Scream Factory.
Okay, boom. Okay.
Yeah, wow. So he started off at Shout Factory, and then it turned into Scream Factory. So if you look at any of those Blu-rays or DVDs, if you flip it, it will say produced by Cliff Macmillan.
That's and I've seen the names. I'm always looking at this. Catch that as I look at all the features. And
yeah, and so we've been friends ever since. We've known each other 30, 40 years now. And he made sure that when Dungeon Master came out, that it had that scene that was missing.
That's awesome.
So the box says Dungeon Master, but the film says Rage War.
So the original title.
Yeah, so he made sure that was put in there. So all that stuff that's released through, if it's Charles Band or Roger Corman or Canon or whatever it is, it's because he loved those movies and we played all of them. So
oh yeah, no, I remember
yeah,
going up there as a little local theater, and same thing. I would see all the Canon movies, and you know, I at that point I didn't realize the difference between a low budget, big budget movie. It was just like, oh my God, there's a Chuck Norris movie here, and oh, a crazy horror movie this weekend, and you know this, that, and then you're renting stuff, and then I'm getting exposed to Evil Dead 2, and you know, finally get to see Reanimator because at the time, you know, it was over 18 and all the you know blood and everything, and such an eye-opening experience. Like you say, wow, this whole other weird, wild world is existing, and
it really does. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, we were lucky to go see Reanimator, and Stuart Gordon was there because
oh
it was
man,
at a
that's
screening.
awesome.
I even snuck onto the Paramount Studios lot to go see Lurking Fear.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and nobody knew, and like C. Courtney Joyner was there, and everybody's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm friends with," and they'd be like, "Susie, are you friends with Susie?"
Yeah, yeah,
Because she's not here. Did you come in her place? I'm like, "Yes, I came in Susie's place." And somehow I got onto the lot and was able to watch it with the cast and crew and all that stuff.
Oh,
and
that's
then
awesome.
then I snuck off the lot.
Well, no, hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
just getting out of high school and I had a full moons in like the early 90s. And they had like this kind of Willy Wonka contest where certain fan members could come to the studio and get a tour and meet Charles Band at the end. And somehow I scored a ticket. Me and my friend went up there, and you know, you walk through, and there's, you know, like them shooting the beanstalk from Beanstalk, a little miniature beanstalk, and giant demonic toys from shooting demonic toys, and all these sketches, and finally getting this big room. And at the time, they had the giant Yeti skeleton from Primevals, you know, the long in development movie at the time.
Oh yeah,
you know, that's so famous. And
Dave Allen, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden here comes Charles Band being Charles Band, larger than life. And you're like, holy crap, you know, I got a picture with him. And then you fast forward 20 years, I'm like, hey, we're working together, you know. It's just,
he's like, you're that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, man, yeah, that guy I told security about.
Yeah, exactly. I first met Charles Band. I forget exactly. I think it was it must have been for a full moon screening, but I don't know what it was. And my friends and I went, and I immediately rushed over to him and I said, I have an idea for Creepazoids 2. Nice. I want to make Creepazoids 2. And I pitched it to him in like a minute. And he goes, I like the idea, but I don't own the rights. So thank you. And then he walked away.
That's Charlie. Yeah, no, you know, we've all tried to pitch him on something. And, you know, I at one point, I kind of was like, we were looking at a location. I thought that'd be perfect for something like Creepazoids 2. You know, it kind of had that apocalyptic thing. And he was like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know exactly what all he has the rights to or not, but that's unfortunately a big deal. I mean, I think if MGM now, which is Amazon, they probably actually have a lot of the rights to his Empire movies still through
wow.
MGM stuff.
Yeah,
that way.
Wow. Yeah, it's very strange how everything kind of, you know, works out. I mean, I took a screenwriting class and Tim Thomerson was just standing outside. And
yeah, there you go. I mean, that's why I learned about this business. I started as a PA getting coffees, working on Apple commercials. And next thing you know, one day I'm working, you know, I'm turning around, there's Nicole Kidman, Faye Dunaway, well, people, you know, and then I'm working with Zack Snyder and all these directors and everybody. And it's just been a dream business for me. But yeah, it's just the most surreal thing. Like, holy crap, whoa, you know, this I'm working with you, or this is actually happening.
Yeah, it's me moving out here to LA, me moving from LA to Vegas. I would have had no idea that me connecting with Miranda Dudley, who is with Tom Devlin, who then would get me to work on Evil Bong 777, to where I met you and Howard, and then eventually at the, you know, Charles Band, and knowing that he, you know, to get on his good side, bring red vines.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I mean, it's weird. I mean, who would think Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were, you know, again, especially with our movies, you know, so much of it is hindered to a location. And the previous Evil Bong movies have, even all the Evil Bong movies, really, it's a bong shop. You're in a bong shop for however long, and then you maybe go to the bong world, which is a green screen. So again, we use that old formula of where can we shoot all these scenes in one place, put up a green screen, 5 days, boom, 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 out you go.
Right.
And the Vegas shoot really represented, which I was a fan of, kind of making it an adventure, getting out of the world, expanding a bit. And hey, I love Vegas anyway, so I was like, hey, sign me up. And I think that's when Charlie discovered the Artisan Hotel itself, and that you could rent this hotel out for like $8,000 for a day. And I think he saw that and he was like, the whole entire hotel to ourselves for that much money, what we shoot, this would be an awesome idea. And Evil Bong 77 was born. There you go. And we were a little hesitant because we're so used to our LA crew. And as you well know, working with these type of movies, you want to work with the same people that know how these movies are made and know what they're doing. You don't want people who are too green. Of course, people are going to need to learn and start somewhere, but you don't want a complete idiot who's just there to make $20 or whatever, which, is not too far off from what we pay. But, what I was surprised at is all you guys, Bobby, Eric, go-getters, do what you were doing. Again, kudos to Tom, Miranda, again, some of my favorite people out there. And I got really handed. I think Vegas has got this really awesome micro-budget movie scene going for it right now. I see a lot of people coming out of Vegas, working in Vegas. And I think it has the opportunity because you can kind of get away with stuff. LA,
oh yeah.
Anywhere you go in LA, wrong person sees you, permit, you're out. Vegas, maybe if you're gone by the time I go, or you're light footprint, but you can walk around with a camera and guerrilla style all kinds of footage if you want.
Oh yeah. For Aximus 2, we shot in a bookstore. What did they want from us? Buy some books.
Yeah.
Same thing with the restaurant that we used. They just said buy lunch. Yeah, that was it.
No, I mean, that's the great thing. Like, while I live in California, I hate shooting in LA because it's all about money, permits. But I live in Long Beach, and usually go somewhere and say, hey, I'm doing this, do you mind? And they're like, oh no, it'd be fun. Again, a little free promotion, take care of them. It works out. And again, that's what I love about this low budget filmmaking, that little guerrilla aspect of like, haha, Hollywood, you need permits. I don't. I get
exactly.
a coffee shop for free.
Yeah. So, okay. So I say I could talk to you forever just about random stuff.
We can go down so many rabbit holes, but I'll follow your lead, good sir.
So let's, we're going to quickly go through this stuff here. And then, because I really want to talk about Gingerweed Man. So
okay, awesome.
I've been excited the whole day for this.
Oh, me too.
Thanks. So the first thing that I want to show is the Evil Bong 666. This is the one that I had everybody sign.
Yeah.
And you were the first person who signed it. You're right there.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
Yeah. And it says, to John, weed is life! Exclamation point. Life. And we got best, got to Brooks Davis, and then it says, you rock. So there you go.
That's awesome. That should be immortalized. Just frame that, frame it, and have it on the wall. But no, great. That's an awesome little collectible. I mean, I really loved the Evil Bong series starting from 6 to 7, and that little sexy hell storyline and adventure within that.
Yeah, and this is because it is signed all over the front to the point where people signed it on the side, and then it went to the back.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was part of the Indiegogo. If you donated whatever, you got a signed thing, or did you bring it to the set of 777 and get it signed?
I think it was only at the time signed by Charles Band.
Okay, that could be true too.
But then I asked him, can you sign the inside for me?
Oh, wow, even better.
Yeah. So he got that all by himself, and he's like, are you sure you want me to sign it inside?
I actually remember that because he was so perplexed, like, he'll never see it. Why would anyone want it on the inside?
And to me, that's what makes it interesting. Because he's already signed it on the front.
Well, there you go. And like I said, it's there. It's your special little thing, your little connection with him.
Yeah.
Same thing, like, when I met him all those years ago on that tour, we just got a simple little, 4x5 photo together, and we're all 20 years younger. And at the time I was like, no one really knows who he is. because he's not like a Spielberg, outside of the realm of people who like cult movies, which is a small crowd in itself. But to me, it was like, my God, I'm with a living legend here.
Oh yeah, that's how
what I
that's
always
how
want
I
to do
felt.
is work with him. Work like Scorsese and Coppola worked with Corman. I want to work with Charles Band and come up the way that way. So
yeah. Oh, exactly. That's why I was just, I to me, it really was like there was a glow. I don't want that to sound weird, but it was almost like, one of those things of just like,
oh yeah, hey, no, still to this day, even shooting the new Evil Bong, I walk on there, it's like, wow, I'm working on Charles Band movies, doing these crazy little, crazy movies. Period. These crazy B movies.
So I guess there is an Evil Bong 888, or just 8.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, then good, because then I can put that right next to my.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Evil Bong 777.
The quote unquote final chapter is coming. Evil Bong 888 coming May 20th.
Oh, nice. Okay. And these are
right now.
Yeah, these ones aren't signed because they're before, of course, obviously we were working on the film. So
yeah, and the DVD has got the exclusive DVD art with the sexy cover art.
Yeah, I do. I like that this is unique, but I yeah.
Oh,
I like both, but
to me, that 777 poster, the original with Evie and Gingerweed, to me, that's one of my all-time favorite full moon posters.
Yeah, I like that. So this was nice to get. So I mean, that was really cool.
You gotta have a treasure of your great handiwork on that movie.
Yes, which is why I wanted both. I wanted both of those to have them, and then it's the entire Ginger Dead Man series.
There you go.
And the first 3, and then the first 3 for Evil Bong. We got those.
Gotta get you the stash box with all of them on Blu-ray, so you have the whole collection.
Oh, that'd be great, because I have them all. I mostly have everything on DVD, not on. But now we have things that I will never get rid of.
Okay.
So this is what I had signed. I bought this at Tom Devlin's Monster Museum.
Oh yeah.
Everybody signed it for me.
I remember signing a couple of those.
Yeah, and this is the little guy that you get in it. I now like Gingerweed Man better than Ginger Dead Man.
Thank you.
I do. Yeah, no, I actually do.
People all have a different place for everybody, but I think the nice thing is you're either cool collective like Gingerweed or you're homicidal maniac Ginger Dead. So
well, and when I first got my cats, they knocked this over and broke it. It came off. And so I told Tom Devlin, I'm like, dude, my cat broke it. Can you freaking believe that? This sucks. Yeah. And the next thing I know, when I go to visit him, he goes, John, here's an extra. Here you go. So this is a replacement, but it was, how awesome was Tom Devlin to just go here?
Yeah, it's Tom Devlin replacement. So there you go.
Yeah. So,
very cool.
And which then segues into, this is something, I will be homeless like Steve Martin in The Jerk, and this will never leave my side. It is a full replica.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got to put it right in front of me. I think there
you got to hold it in there. But no, I mean, I had one myself, and we actually ended up using it in the shooting of Evil Bong 888, and they ended up having to destroy it to fit it in a tuxedo. So at one point I was like, no, but that's a real. I've got my Ginger. I've got Buddy here from
Buddy
Man. Buddy's here, and Gingerweed Man himself's over there, but he's probably a little too stoned to come out for a minute.
And then the last thing that I have, and this was in Aximus, and when we were shooting at Tom Devlin's Monster Museum, is I overheard them say, we need a weapon, something for Mindy Robinson to use at the end of the film tomorrow. What do we have? I said, I have an axe. And they're like, bring it in.
I remember that. I remember,
So
the axe.
This is the axe from Aximus 2 that Drew Marvick uses. And Miranda made the top part here. Then this is real wood here. And then they spray painted some blood on it, which drives her nuts. She's like, why didn't they just use real blood? Why did they spray paint it?
Yeah, what's going on here? Chop somebody. Let's do this.
Yeah. And so I left it on. I'm like, no. This is the axe that's in Evil Bong 777.
That's
Minnie
awesome.
Robinson used it. This is what we're going to use it in Maximus 3 and 4, but it's never going to have like actual blood or anything. It's only going to stay like this.
No, you know, you got to keep
So
it real,
yeah. So that's my little collection there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love little Easter eggs. You know, there's a ton of them we'll talk about later, but a ton of them in Gingerweed, man. You know, film buffs will get them if you catch it or whatever, but I love just sprinkling that stuff in there.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. Always fun. And so now we got the good segue into Gingerweed Man. So
right in there.
Yep, and which you directed and you co-wrote.
Co-wrote, yeah, with Kent Rodebush.
Yes, and it came out last year, 2021, and it's 45 minutes, so it's a nice tight 45 minutes.
Very tight. Very tight. Walking that thin line of feature.
Yes, and it's got effects by Tom Devlin. The DP on it is Howard Wexler. You have Lindsay, who is Lindsay related to you?
No, not at all.
Okay, I thought for some reason in like the making of it said like Lindsay Brooks, and I'm like,
oh, you know
no.
what? I don't know what happened there. I think someone was probably up a little too late, not enough sleep, and somehow there was, somehow that name came in there. But no, we are not related in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was weird. I like, I don't think that's his last name.
You kind of get a little look-alike, but yeah, no.
Yeah. So
he went with it because I thought the joke was funny. So I didn't tell anyone like, should we change it? I'm like, just leave it.
Yeah,
he's done his own movies. He can do that, but
only somebody like me would notice it. So
well, you know, that's what's so cool about you. You pick up on those things, and you're the first person to ask about it.
Yeah,
even people within the company who watch it, no one caught it, you know. And I just like, well, I'll just let it roll.
Well, I'm available to do proofreading on things.
Okay, excellent, so, excellent. You got a continuity gig then for sure.
Excellent. And then you have the music. The score is Jojo Draven, Danny Draven's wife.
She knocked it out of the ballpark. You know, when I got the movie, I said, okay, hey, Jojo's going to do the music, and I got with her right away because to me, music is essentially half as important as half of the movie, half of any movie. You know, it's going to raise the emotions. It's got to work with the imagery, but it's just got to be good music. And you know the difference between music you like and you're humming when you walk out of the theater, or it just grates on your nerves. So I was very worried about, will this movie have good music or will it have cheesy, low budget movie music? You know, like someone's Casio keyboard. And you know, I pulled references about what I wanted. Like, you know, at the time, Dre Goldsmith, Gremlins 2, Small Soldiers, that kind of vibe. I wanted to have that Joe Dante crazy cartoony vibe. And I didn't want her to say, okay, I want it to sound exactly like this or sound like Danny Elfman. I just like, this is just kind of the feels I want. And she came back with a theme and I was just like, oh my God, you nailed it. It sounds like and again, with the Gingerweed Man, it was all about setting up an adventure, and she nailed it with that theme and the music overall, and was a blessing. And just can't thank her enough. She was a huge part of, I think, why the movie works.
Yeah, I enjoyed the soundtrack quite a bit. So so good job on that. So
yeah, I'm a little biased, but I think it's probably one of the better Full Moon soundtracks in a long time. If there's ever a CD release, we'll see.
Yeah, I would like for them to release another, you know, like collection or a compilation or something like that. I mean, I have a lot of those, and I always listen to them when I'm writing. And it's great music as you're writing, all of a sudden you're going from Puppet Master into Reanimator into Troll,
and getting yourself into, and you're like, well, I remember that melody, you know.
yeah, and so it'd be nice if this was, you know, maybe an evil Bong collection or a Ginger Dead Man collection that could include Gingerweed Man in it.
You never know,
something
you know,
like
or
that.
you know, hey, maybe I'll just make a bootleg and we'll just see on the back of a street corner in Vegas.
Yeah, there you go.
Street, hey, buy my CD, $5, guys.
Right out of your trunk of your car. So,
right, you know, tamales or CDs.
Yeah, and this is something I wanted to bring up. So you have a special going on where if you buy for $14.99, I believe.
Yeah. We just released Gingerweed Man on DVD, so timing for coming on your show is impeccable. You know, wink, wink. Don't know how you knew, but perfect timing. And if you order it at Full Moon Direct, which is the only place to order it, fullmoondirect.com. We have a deal. The movie's $15, and we're going to throw in Ginger Deadman versus Evil Bong for free, no charge at all. You get it. And it's actually, I believe, the second or third movie I worked on with Full Moon. So I was a PA,
nice.
and actually the kitchen and bakery, I got in Long Beach for like a great deal. It's like a 24-hour industrial bakery, and I got the whole place for like $700 for the day. Everyone came out from Los Angeles to Long Beach, was complaining, oh my God, the drive. I'm like, that's what I do every day. So, suck it up. So yeah, that movie that there has a very special place in my heart. It was the first time I worked with EB and worked with the Ginger Deadman world. And so I think it's a great combination of movies. So buy Gingerweed Man, get Ginger Deadman versus Evil Bong, smoke whatever you got to do, and you're going to have a great movie night. A good solid, maybe 2 hours.
Maybe.
You might just get there if you watch the trailers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because this is, if I can read it, I think it's too tiny. Yeah, it's too tiny. It says runtime, but I can't read it. It's too small.
Yeah, we do that on purpose. So you're like, well, I'll just watch it.
Especially for old people like me.
Yeah,
and like,
then we already got you. You already bought the movie. You're screwed.
Yeah. Well, and now you have a lot of new people in this movie. So, but the one person that I do recognize, and he has been on One Filmmaker before, is Alan Maxon.
Yes, good friend of mine.
Yes, and he is he plays a character in this. But he's also, as he pointed out in the behind the scenes, there's three layers of Gingerweed Man. So there's the puppet.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I think it's his mouth.
Yeah.
And your voice.
Yeah. Because essentially in a perfect world, we would, Gingerweed, if you had the money, would be CGI or, Jim Henson's crew and have a real cool, puppet, but we got a doll. We can't even quite call it a puppet, so we had a cool doll.
Yeah, the doll's great. You can't change it.
The whole concept of the movie was I wanted to play up to the fact that it's a crappy little puppet, and we're going to play into it. Like Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. It's a crappy puppet on this guy's arm, and but somehow you buy into it and you accept that this is a real little character. And that was the approach with Gingerweed Man was, if you see the strings, no big deal. And so then, so we'll shoot everything with the puppet at the day of, or separate days. And then get Alan Maxon involved, who I met through like John Lachago, doing other previous Full Moon movies. He's a great motion capture artist, performance artist, actor in his own right, director, you name it. But he did like all the mouthpieces for us. So when you see like Ginger Deadman versus Evil Bong, Ginger Deadman's mouth, that's usually Alan Maxon. And so we do makeup on his mouth, he wears teeth, and we shoot like this much, and then through the magic of effects, After Effects, shrink his mouth. And then we have that composite. Then I would come in like for Gingerweed Man, and then I've got to do the dialogue. So it's quite a process. It's not it's an interesting one. It's an old school kind of like a Clutch Cargo cartoon way, we had a real mouth over animation, and we were experimenting with maybe animating the mouth, but constantly and time constraints prohibited it. And again, I like the kind of the old school vintage cheapy aspect to it. If it didn't always match, no big deal. It's part of the joke.
But if you changed it now, let's say all of a sudden you had millions of dollars to make the next Gingerweed Man. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he was CGI. It would take away from it. I agree. I mean, it has to be this way.
Yeah, I think to me, that's kind of the heart of the character. He's just this little fucked up character. And I think, if Hollywood would be kind enough to throw millions of dollars to do another one at me, I think I would still keep it. It would be more like a Team America approach, where that had a budget, but it still played into the aspects of the marionette dolls, the Thunderbirds characters and whatnot. Because it's part of the charm of this character. You nailed it right on the head. I think you would definitely lose. You would be out of the character because now you're just watching another Shrek or another something green running around the screen, all computer generated. Whereas as simple as he is as a dollar puppet, he's tactile. He's there. He's interacting with people. You know, you can throw him, you can hit someone in the head with it, and, you know, get a joke out of it. Whereas with the CG, it's CG. You back of your head, you know it's fake. It's always fake, and I think it takes you out of it to a degree.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's, you guys have it down now. Like the first time around with each one of these films, I could see where it's like, oh no, how are we going to do this, or is this going to look good, or whatever it is. Now you guys got it down. I mean, even though it's strings, you know, that are pulling, you know, Ooga Booga or Gingerweed Man, whatever it is, they got it down. I mean, when he's doing the bongo, it's down.
You know,
I mean, the hands
again,
are.
I was so worried because one of the main directors of the movie was, he's got to move. And if you think about it, this is really the first Charles Band puppet movie where the puppet is leading the movie. Usually the puppets are, you know, henchmen or secondary characters. I mean, even the ghoulies weren't, it was all about ghoulies. It was this whole other black magic stuff. So it was real important for Gingerweed Man to move as much as we could. And as you mentioned, Tom Devlin's 1313 Effects did the effects, specifically Chris Arredondo and Waleed Ash, who are my heroes on this movie, because they were able to get Gingerweed Man to do things I never thought we could, you know, just by doing simple marionette actions. At the very end of the movie where he's putting the little hat on Buddy, I thought, okay, let's try one, guys. Otherwise, we'll figure out a way to do it funnier, or, you know, just like poop on his head. But what you see in the movie is the first take. They got it right off the bat, and we did one for safety, which wasn't quite as good. I'm like, okay, don't mess with magic. You know, they got them to look like they're masturbating. They got
Funny.
everything to work.
I laughed out loud with that. Yeah,
awe of them.
Yeah, that was very funny, and just the great idea of, instead of making mini Ginger Dead Man, you put the face.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew, again, we, you know, generally the rule of thumb on any full moon movie is we got a 5-day shoot, which people hear are like, holy crap, how do you do it? Well, we do it. And again, and one thing to me is, if people haven't worked with puppets, they're a bitch to work with, no matter what. You think it's going to be easy. It's just a puppet, la, la, la. Well, no, they never works out the way you want. You know, you may figure out a way to do it, and we'll do this or that. And knock on wood, we got lucky with Gingerweed Man. A lot of what you see is one take. We nailed it. The one thing that never worked was that damn little scooter. So anytime you see it, it would only go in reverse. So a lot of that stuff, you know, shot reverse, or it's on a skateboard zipping by the camera. But
I was going to bring that up. I like that scene of him delivering all the pot. I thought it was funny with him on his little scooter.
That was kind of the heart of it. You know, I thought, okay, that would be a great little, again, that kind of 60s vibe, little montage of the different people, and would like to have gotten more people. But again, it just falls into, you got 5 days. And with this movie, we had a month turnaround. You know, once I finished, I had a month to get it out for streaming. So that, you know, was an insane schedule, which we'll get into later, I'm sure.
Well, so if you have 5 days, how important is it, or did you just have the Batman head that pulls backwards with the red button?
From the very start, when I kind of got the movie and art directing in my head, I was like, okay, at some point, one of my many Easter eggs was, I would love to get this Batman head. And I remember seeing it online. I'm like, okay, I'll see how much it is. I'm like, screw it, I'll do it. And I thought, what a perfect thing for him to get his little weed scooter. You know, I mean, you know, we didn't have the pulley, it falls out and hits the trash. But I thought, okay, that's the perfect, you know, you and I, we totally get it. Other people, whatever. But that was actually shot a couple weeks after our main shoot. We had our main 5-day shoot. Then about 2 weeks later, I did about a weekend's worth of insert and pickup shots. And we actually recreated the alley in my home alley. You know, it was the brick is like a big brick backdrop. Oh, don't want to knock you over. And then, you know, I had a trash can there, had the head at forced perspective, and had him come up and had like a cord behind the head, so we could just pull the cord and make it look like it was opening, and then get a shot of the hand hitting the button, and off he goes.
I caught that immediately. I thought that was funny. So,
oh no, you got a keen eye. That's what I like about you.
Well, we might as well just jump into the one Easter egg there, which is Excalibrate.
There you go. I was wondering, not many people to get that, and you know, I had just watched Dungeon Master again. right before I started Gingerweed Man, I was doing the Resonator, Miskatonic U with William Butler, and Jeffrey Byron was in the cast. And I grew up, we get Metal Storm, Dungeon Master, and like, what happened to this guy? And so I was so stoked to be working with him on this movie, and he was the sweetest, nicest man in the world. We would talk, and we were even talking about writing a Metal Storm sequel. He's an awesome guy. So when it came time to do Gingerweed Man, it was just one of those things that was like, I watched Dungeon Master, and I saw the Excalibur, and I'm like, I have to put that in somewhere. It's got to be a computer. And okay, cool. We got the laptop scene. Boom, Excalibur, and the little Easter egg was born.
Yeah, I actually rewound it. I caught it, but I wasn't sure. And Tubi can be annoying with these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went back and I'm just like, Excalibur, freaking Dungeon Master. I got to write this down.
Yeah, no, and I'll even say, if you want to get into it later, when we get into the ending of the movie, at the very end of the movie, there's even another Dungeon Master reference that I was hoping to capitalize on in the future.
Okay. I might have not caught that one. So
no one knows really. I even told Charlie who it is, and I think he's even like, huh? But yeah, it's a well, hell, I'll just say what the hell, because we'll talk about all over the place about the movie. At the very end, there's a little teaser post-credit sequence that reveals the bad guy to be Ginger Dead Man, and I'll get into more about that.
Right.
What I wanted to later do with the sequels is introduce good old Rat Spit. So,
Rat Spit would be great.
I'm talking to is essentially Rat Spit, who would factored into sequels of the Gingerweed Man.
And of course, Rat Spit was also in Troll.
Oh yeah.
So that'd be great. So is it only 2 movies that Rat Spit's in?
That I'm aware of, unless his likeness was somewhat carbon copied.
He needs to be in 3 then. So yeah, you need to bring him back. So he looks gigantic on screen, and then he's just tiny. When we actually see him.
To me, it just seemed like kind of the avenue I was going with the characters, because I had created this whole little trilogy I want to take with Gingerweed Man and build on this kind of little Charles Band universe where I could pick these obscure characters, because the world I wanted, this universe I wanted to create was this was where all the misfit characters could come. Characters that you saw in movies who maybe couldn't get a movie of their own, but would be a fun little side character. Like Ooga Booga. Of course, he had his own movie, but how many times can Ooga Booga get an old movie? And face it, we probably could in this day and age. We'd get run out of town. Actors quit the movie over Ooga Booga being in it. But it was sort of a universe for all these little side characters or forgettable reject characters. I even had an idea to bring back Demonicus. Kind of one of my totally guilty full moon pleasures. I want to bring Demonicus into the fold and have a fun time. So there's a lot of crazy ideas I'd like to go with it. So, again, start the hashtag campaign kids and viewers, and write Full Moon as much as you can. And buy the DVD, $14.99, fullmoondirect.com.
And get this for free.
And get that for free. So, come on.
Yeah. And didn't David Sterling
I know,
produce
yeah,
that?
I love Dave Sterling. I think he thinks I'm always picking on him, but Demonicus is kind of like an inside joke at the studio because it was done so cheaply and so fast, kind of a way, and just didn't work out for whatever reason. And so whenever I see Dave at a convention, I'm just like, Demonicus, I love Demonicus. I think he thinks I'm giving him a hard time picking on him, but it's just because I love the underdog moves. I love that thing, and to me, it was just awesome to do a Demonicus and have a little fun and have a good time with that movie.
Whenever I talk to him on the phone, he always brings it up. He's like, "Did you know that I made a movie for Full Moon?" I'm like, "Yes, David, you've told me 1,000 times." I own it.
I love Dave. He's a character himself. I would like to take him and make him a character in a movie someday.
He is a character. He really is.
Oh yeah,
he's an interesting
cat.
It's
not a Monsterpalooza unless Dave Sterling comes by and says hi. I always will have a copy of Demonicus ready for him if he does.
Yeah, just keep it in your trunk with your soundtrack.
Movie. Oh man, not Demonicus.
Not that one. Not that one. No. Talk about Camp Blood. Not that one.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got box sets to sell.
Yeah, he does. He has a lot. He's not
making money on Demonicus anyway.
Well, now, at the very beginning of the film of Gingerweed Man, yes. You're set up for exactly what this is. So, and it says, the following is presented in THC 420. Mm-hmm. The audience is stoned. or they should be. It helps. Oh, no, no, seriously, it helps. And of course, anybody who knows THX,
There you
that's the
go.
whole THX, Lucas joke at the end, and you got the pipe going.
Yeah,
So
no, that was kind of a last minute thing. I'm a big one of my big things in any movie or short, whatever I do, it's the opening. That's the first thing your audience is going to get exposed to. And with this, I wanted to just get them in the right spirit of things. Like, okay, screw it, you'll probably enjoy this movie if you're a little stoned. So,
right.
let's have a little fun. And I thought, okay, what to do? I was just gonna have a little title card, but I thought, oh, THX, THC, boom, THC 420, THX 1138. Okay, makes sense. Boom, let's have fun. And Dave Matherly, who did the visual effects for Gingerweed Man, he helped me with that and create a little thing popping up. And Kenny Climack, who does our sound design, did a perfect job. I actually found the little bong bubbling on YouTube and pulled that, and that's what you hear. And to me, it's, as you said, it sets up exactly, what you're getting yourself into right away. This is the spirit of the movie. There's forget about it. You're in for it, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, and I like how it starts out with the following is presented in THC 420. The audience is stoned, and then then like that other credit comes on, or they should be.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Then another credit. It helps. So you didn't show it all at once. It was just one little thing after another, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm in store
Exactly.
for here.
It's
I know.
a good old, comedy rule of threes, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, kind of stretch it out. And again, the general thing with weed is you're slower. So yeah, I always kind of like, I made a Western. I worked with an improv group and we made a Western, like No Money. And the opening is the same way, it was a time of lawlessness. Men were vicious, but the women were worse, and it was that same kind of slow dissolve that just kind of takes you back. And I just got that, from, cartoons from the 40s, Tex Avery type stuff, where that was just kind of the way the punchlines were delivered, that kind of style. And again, Gingerweed Man, one of the main influences was the Looney Tunes, that kind of cartoon vibe, and one of that kind of storytelling vibe to it.
Oh yeah, well, with his eyes bulging out and his
Yeah,
tongue coming
definitely.
out, and oh yeah, that's definitely Looney Tunes. Oh yeah, yeah. And the fun thing is that since I worked on Evil Bong 777, I could watch, because I watched the behind the scenes after the movie, like I didn't want anything ruined. And so, but while watching the movie, I was like, okay, how did they? Okay, I think I know how they did this, with Gingerweed Man, because this is how they did it on Evil Bong, and it was interesting to watch it from that perspective of somebody who's worked on one where these characters are already there.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting, because you always know that, like, he's being thrown.
Yeah,
and then the girl grabs him.
Okay, then I know he threw him across the room. Okay, it works every time, but it's simple.
Yeah, especially with the woman who's in like all the lingerie, and the husband's watching, and he just hits her on the chest, and she falls on the bed, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is so wonderful."
Oh yeah,
and
she raped that poor puppet. I tell you, man, she's awesome.
Yeah, he had to file a complaint.
Well, probably not. She did that great of a job. She was awesome. This afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely hit into some areas that I wasn't expecting, Gingerweed Man to go into, like between her legs and then being, pulled off.
That scene was quote unquote probably my first sex scene, if you want to, call it that. And originally I had auditioned another woman for that part, who was the perfect vibe I was originally looking for. It was that kind of OC blonde soccer mom, slutty, come and have a drink, always kind of a little drunk, drunk and horny vibe. And she got the part, was all on board, but then I guess read the script a bit more and was like, what do you want me to do with this puppet? And I was never at all explicit about anything other than the but bongo bit. And that, even I didn't even put in the script, I just said, oh, hey, they get it on. And I was always going to work with the actress who got the part to say, okay, hey, what are you comfortable with? Well, how can you make this funny? And, I was definitely going to work with that actress, whoever it was going to be. So this gal read the script, realized, oh my God, I have to have sex with the puppet. I'm out of here. And then this other actress, Andrea Fisher, who was awesome, came in, and it was like her first part with lines, so she was so nervous. And I guess she's used to doing, photography and modeling, so that was great. And really, I had no real direction other than to say, well, go at it, have fun. And she came out in the lingerie, which even she was wearing little panties that were like, you get kind of showing there. You want to get other panties, be comfortable. Oh, I'm fine. I'll wear two if you want me to. I'm like, if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. Go for it. It was awesome trooper. And yeah, we had 2 cameras going at the time. Kind of get our coverage all around. And the only real gags scripted I wanted was the butt bongo bit. And then when he essentially comes, orgasms, and flies across the room and hits the wall. Everything else was improvised by those 2 actors in that scene. From the husband watching and his jokes and reactions to, what Andrea was doing with the puppet itself. I was just like, okay, between your legs, this, that. And next thing you know, she's rolling around. That's why I said she, got a hold of that puppet and raped the shit out of it. Because, I didn't even know it was going between her legs or upside down her butt. And the guys were there, oh yeah, upside down. Oh yeah. And, then we had, a shot from this side from her legs and, his interaction. And that scene turned out to be so funny and awesome. And that was one of the scenes that is drastically cut for what you see in the final feature, unfortunately.
Oh, so now we do need the director's cut.
Well, you do get the deleted footage on the DVD, not in a director's cut per se. I want to say I debated about kind of doing a director's cut, quote unquote, the hybrid cut. But after kind of looking at everything, most of the cuts I think helped the movie pacing wise. When I did my initial edit, again, I had like about a month to turn this movie around, which is insane. We were just cranking them out, and the goal was, we'll shoot one this month, release it, and just keep cranking them out. Well, it kind of burned us all out, but yeah, it was the second movie, so I fell victim to that. I don't even remember March of last year. So, edit this sucker out, crank it out. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Yeah, no, it was just yeah, I tell you, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. What was I talking about again?
The sex scene.
Oh, the sex scene, yeah. So my first cut, I ended up more or less throwing everything I shot in. Just like, let's see we'll throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and we go. And Charlie came in and, to his credit, he's done this for 30, 40 years. Said, let's, we got to really cut this down. It's not working so far. Like, oh no. And we cut this, cut that. And for some reason, the sex scene, he just pretty much, he comes in, it happens, it goes out. Was much longer. The guy is really watching, having a good time. But, going back to doing a director's cut, I looked at it and it didn't seem like it was going to really make a huge difference, whether you saw it back in the movie or just on its own. I didn't see it's not like Zack Snyder had 4 hours to add back to Justice League. It's like, okay, you'll get a little bit of this, which, if you want to see it, it's there in the deleted scenes on the DVD in all its entirety. So that's kind of how I arrived at kind of dealing with having to cut that stuff and getting it out there and getting my vision out there in the main place.
Yeah, and I think, people, it can be men or women, when they do these things, just have fun with it. Calm down. It's not, oh my God, I'm having sex with a puppet, or a doll, it's just have fun. So what?
You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. It's called the Gingerweed Man. It's this
right.
Guy's the star. If you're thinking, this is going to be Oscar-worthy material, you're out of your mind in the first place. It's just, again, on our set, I'm sure you remember on Evil Bong 777, it's all about having fun. We're all here, we're all underpaid, we're all overworked, but we're having fun doing these fun, crazy movies. And that's my vibe. That's the energy I want on my set, is we're having fun. And if we're all having fun, we'll do late hours. We'll keep going.
Right.
We'll give you my best. If you're not having fun, well, fuck you. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to come up with a clever way to help you get the shot you need. It's just, are you done yet? Can I go home? I hate this set, bye to the birds.
Well, and there were I don't remember there being any bad vibes on Evil Bong 777. I mean, we just went on. I mean, even the food was good. I mean, yeah, the catering was really good. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, it was only a good experience. And I think for those women, the ones who showed nudity, I think they mostly got strippers.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, usually the rule of thumb, strippers, porn stars, they're
yeah,
comfortable with it, and main thing, they're comfortable with it. Again, it's, within their guidelines, just because they're going to get naked doesn't mean you can do whatever. It's a very specific, like, okay, top only or butt only or, side, blah, blah, blah. Talking, again, it's all about talking it out, talking it through with someone, and comfortability. I want everyone to be comfortable on my set, because majority of the time, if I'm not directing, I'm the assistant director on the majority of the other features. Working with Charlie, I worked with Danny Draven on Ouija's, John Lachago on Blade the Iron Cross. And, it's important to me to run the set so the director is getting done what he needs to get done, he or she. But, as you've directed yourself. Actors sit around, thumb up their ass, bored out of their mind. You want to make sure they're having a good time. Crew members, hang a light, then they're, waiting in the wings, missing family, missing their lives. So that's why I want to create a good vibe and have a good time. Because I really do believe you're going to get the best out of people if they're enjoying themselves. If they've got your back, you have solved about 75% of the problems you'll have on set, because they'll be able to take care of it for you, or handle what you want.
Yeah, a lot of it is talking. So and luckily the person who didn't want to do that scene, like, you weren't about to shoot it, and then they said,
yeah,
"Oh no, I don't want to do this."
Yeah, no, I mean, when I hired Andrea Fisher, finally, when I spoke before filming it, I said, here's what it is. And I said, now the one shot I want to do is butt bongos. It's going to be angled. So, your butt will be just right at the top of frame. You don't see anything else. I'm not looking to see, vagina or anything crazy. And the puppet's just going to be doing a little butt bongo, Ricky Ricardo. And it's all totally fine, whatever. And that's why I said, she did stuff with the puppet. You'll see on the DVD that I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. It wasn't going to ask for it, but since you did it, fucking awesome. I love it. I'll throw it in there.
Yeah, it's fun. I laughed. So
oh no, your mind's gonna be blown when you see the full version on DVD.
Yeah, his hands just moved perfectly. I mean, it really.
Again, Tom's guys, Chris and Waleed. I mean, they are the masters. I love those two. They saved my hide and really made the movie. Again, everybody did their parts. The actors were awesome. Howard Wexler, who shot it, was awesome. JoJo's music's awesome. Chris Waleed, awesome. I mean, I was just blessed with, and again, working with all these guys, so many movies, I knew what I was getting into with them. I knew how these guys work. I know their temperaments. I know how to work with them. So I could say, okay, Chris Waleed, here's what I need. Go do it. They came back and had it, few notes here or there, but we're all on the same wavelength, same page. And it made a world of difference and helped get this movie made and turn out the way it did.
That's awesome. So I guess if they ever wanted to, to leave the industry, they could always go to FU Tech.
Yeah, exactly. Sign up. I got some of the signs in my garage. We'll have a fire sale.
How did FU Tech come around?
That was Kent Rodebush idea. Initially when we got the go ahead to do the movie, the quote unquote green light, I talked to Kent, and we're like, what the hell are we going to do? So many, again, we touched earlier, so many of the evil Bong movies are based in that Bong shop alone. They never go out of it. We have no budget to do like a real adventure per se, shut down streets, do car chases, what have you. But I was determined with this movie, somehow or rather, even if it was one location, this has to be an adventure of sorts. And so we started with that notion. And then I got the idea with, Buddy and doing like the little lone wolf and cub scenario, this complete idiot taking care of this precious and so coming up with the bad guy. And I think that was a total Ken idea of creating the FU Tech facade. And it was just FU Tech, fuck you Tech. And then the great part was Dave Lowe, my production designer, art director on this movie, came up with that sign where he integrated. If you watch it next time, it's a middle finger with the F and the U.
I went back. I actually even drew it. I have it right here. I'm like, that looks like FU to me. Like
it was so great. It was one of those, again, it's one of those things where I never asked for it, never in my dreams thought of it. And Dave said, hey, I came with this. And I go, that's genius. Please stick that everywhere. we're on the same page. That's what I want. I mean, he was a big fan of the Batman show too. He loved the, William Shakespeare bust head idea and just that general vibe and feel. So that was just a product of one guy's idea and another guy taking it to that next level, that visual representation. So it was more than a little line joke. If people pay attention, you say, F you, got that whole thing going.
Yeah, it's and that shows a good crew. That shows people that are dedicated, that enjoy what they're doing, that they want to be there.
Exactly.
That they go home at night and go, you know what? Let me make this look like this.
Well, I don't want anyone to lose sleep, but it's an honor if you're, thinking of me as you're trying to go to sleep, like, wait, if I painted that this way, or if I hung that, or I ran this way, I could do it. And again, that's the attitude I go to, that I'm in. Again, like working with Danny on Ouija's, or with Charlie, I want to help give them what they're looking for at the end of the day. And again, it falls down to surrounding yourself with the right crew that respect you and want to give that to you. And it comes down to being a good director. Do you get that respect and admiration, or are you a complete tool who runs people over and spits them out?
Right. And one thing that I really enjoyed, bringing up like, the old Batman show and all that stuff, it was very colorful. The colors were great, especially in like the labs and everything.
Oh, thank you.
All those different colors just brought it right out like it was a living comic book.
Well, again, it was kind of to create that comic book cartoon vibe. Plus, I'm just a big fan of the old Mario Bava movies, Argento movies, Italian movies with the lush color. And to me, I felt like, as much as I kind of like, you're not a fan of the Schumacher Batman movies, I like that Batman vibe, the color, the Dutch angles, in your face stuff. So I worked with Howard and I said, okay, here's some visual references. Again, the Batman shows, Gremlins 2 was a huge influence. I think John Hora shot that with Joe Dante. And you see the colors worked in there. And so I'm glad you picked up on that, because, yeah, I remember Courtney Potter, who did the wardrobe, the doctor's lab coat in the beginning. I thought, okay, just a lab coat's fine. And she was like, can it be green? I want it to be green. It has to be green. I'm like, it's just white. Because I imagine that character like Tim Robbins from Howard the Duck. He's just kind of got that white lab coat and spritz out hair. But she insisted on green. And I said, okay, you know what? Have your green. I'm a compromising guy. If it makes you happy, I'll pick and choose my battles, wear the green. And she was right. It worked. It's colorful. It sets him off as a weed kind of guy. And it just pop all that stuff out. And just a different look. You don't see anymore. There's so much of a vibe these days that everything's so dark, you can barely even see stuff.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. Inside was bright, outside was bright. It was, and I'm guessing, of course, a lot of this has to do with Howard, but it looked good. It was
a lot of that I credit Howard. I'm still learning, as I think we always will be in this business. You never maybe quite get it, but I love working with Howard. I love learning from Howard, from sometimes the learning how to set up something to the simplicity of a setup, like, oh no, you just need that there, or why do you need all these lights? I love working with him, and he was awesome in recreating these looks I wanted. And and he knows this routine of shooting in 5 days and how you need to get maximum coverage from as few setups as possible, and how to maximize lighting. Another idea, kind of akin to the different faces for Gingerweed, was, what can we do to maybe set up a general lighting for a room or a set, and then just have a few lights to punch in for our coverage, so we're not having to restring everything up the door. Just like, boom, everything's ready to go, move in, boom, 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 keep the shot simple, and kind of that vibe. But yeah, Howard, big credit to Howard on that, for keeping it looking cool. And again, I didn't want to look too bright. I didn't want to look flat TV like. Just, again, have some color to it. I love movies with color. I like when the sky is blue. I like when people have, orange skin, look like they're getting sun. I don't like this, wash out pea color filter, or, the fact that you're in a room with one light and it's just so damn dark, and I'm losing all this ambiance in the, environment. It's kind of shitty.
Yeah, I don't get why filmmakers can't invest in one light. Why are you shooting outside by car headlight?
Well, that's it. I think it's almost like, oh, these cameras can do it. And I go back to the old Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park: just because they can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a Blackmagic 6K Pro. I can ISO it up and right lens. I can shoot in the dark. It'll look like crap, but I'll shoot in the dark. But I miss those days where you had that Dean Cundy Halloween blue night. The blue light everywhere. Whereas now there's such a look to keep it real and what kind of practicality the lights are giving off. Like, if I want practicality, I'll go outside. This is a movie. Get crazy with it. Get colorful. Get
Right.
artistic. Have some fun.
Well, and that's why for something like the Axmis films, they're Christmas. I want colors. I want greens, blues, red. Throw them everywhere. And then for something like when I did Meat Hook 4, I wanted it to be stark. So I wanted to go the other direction because it's a desert.
Yeah.
So I wanted, when you open up a door, it blinds you as you're like, oh God, as they walk in, or it's just desert. So it's like, but there's still color there. It's just a different color.
You really hit it on the head. You want to be true to the story, so, Xmas, Christmas, it invites the Christmas vibe. You want those Christmas lights everywhere. You want that cool look. And, Meat Hook is much more Texas Chainsaw, gritty, in your face kind of vibe. So, you want to portray that rawness, and that's, to me, again, why even that movie works in the first place. Because you're like, oh my God, it's so gritty and raw. Like, I got to, bathe myself after this evil massacre and all this horrific bullshit and nonsense. Oh my God. And I think it goes good directing and filmmaking, but again, this is a visual medium. It's got to look good.
Right.
You bring up Texas Chainsaw, or I did, and Daniel Pearl, who shot that. Still, that gorgeous shot where she's walking up and you're following behind her up her butt. That blue sky and everything's great. All that horror happens, and you're inside and it's so grimy, dirty. You're just, oh my God, I already got dysentery. But it's gorgeous looking.
Yeah, and I remember back in the day, when it was just out on VHS and it just looked crappy and dark.
Oh yeah,
people would
just seeing Evil Dead that way, the very first one. Like, oh, this is the worst movie because it's so dirty.
People just called it a butt shot.
And they're like, your shit all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's for that shot that you mentioned in Chainsaw. People were just looking at, oh, look, they're exploiting her. Oh, it's just a butt shot. But then it comes out on DVD or Laserdisc or Blu-ray, and then, like you said, blue skies. You got the house, the camera's tracking on her. Now it's not a butt shot anymore. No. Now it's this really nice, colorful tracking shot of her walking to her doom.
Well, that's just it. And that's, I think, one of the best things ever about Blu-ray. It's helped me really appreciate low budget movies in the past, even like, especially full moon movies, where you realize, okay, now lots happening. You're in one location. You realize it's a budget. And now when you see them restored, remastered, from the negatives and with the color, man, I just watched 4K Sword and the Sorcerer the other night. Ooh. And you're like, wow, they didn't have money, but look at what they were pulling off without money. And that's what still fascinates me to this day. Touching back on CGI being, kind of taking out the experiences. I'm still always fascinated by in-camera effects, practical effects. How did you do that? No matter how simplistic it looks, that's real movie magic to me. At the end of the day, I always know the dinosaurs Jurassic Park are always some really, really talented animator animating a dinosaur. Whereas you see like Metropolis and all the effects Fritz Lang did, you're just like, how did you know how to do that back then? How did you even pull
right?
Or Jean Cocteau and Beauty and the Beast, his French version from the 40s, which just has some of those amazing practical effects ever. That's the stuff that just blows my mind, and I like recreating and trying to recreate and keep that vibe going. And that's one I see again with Full Moon. Charlie loves that vibe too, and keep that with the puppets.
Well, yeah, and they Fred Olin Ray on Facebook recently has been posting pictures and telling us how he's doing stuff. So you would see a tractor, and then there'd be people walking by the tractor, and you'd be like, yeah, we got that tractor at Toys R Us. It's sitting right next to the camera. It's a forced perspective shot. Yep. So it looks like, and it's just like, oh my God, that looks like a real tractor.
No, we're just working with Fred Olin Ray on Piranha Women for Full Moon. And nice. Jim Warnorski doing Attack of the 60-Foot Cam Girl. So it's a real treat to work with these guys, because I grew up with these guys in the 80s with their movies, kind of, I guess, their quote unquote heyday. But, they're all old school Corman guys. They grew up doing like me with band now. They grew up with Corman doing that stuff and working for him. and learning how to get away with these shots and doing it with no money, no time. And again, I love seeing that stuff and can't wait to see what they bring to Full Moon.
Well, and I hope that you get to, to direct more films and be right up there with them, because you know how I know you're a good director?
How's that?
7 minutes into the film, we get nudity.
There you go. There you go.
That is the sign of a good director.
I agree. I mean, you signed up for it. You have it. And that was really Charles Band's only real requirement of the movie, is like, he's got to bang somebody in this movie. I'm like, okay, that's it. And so, yeah, that was the whole premise, is, he's this complete idiot, his little horn dog guy who somehow gets the women. Essentially it was my alter ego. It's like everything I want to be, but I can't be. I have all my bad things through this guy, which is awesome. And Joanna Ray, who was quote unquote nude girl in bed, she was awesome, because I thought that would be the hard part. Like, who wants to be naked in this room full here? But she was just great. And again, I have ideas for sequels where every time she comes back, she says she's nude girl. Kind of goes back to even a Monty Python skit. They just keep referring to nude girl, and here's this nude girl or someone nude. But again, at the end of the day, it's a low budget B movie. We want some eye candy, and she was gorgeous and a real trooper. And again, you got to open a scene memorably.
Yes,
I think you hit on the head. That's how you keep the momentum going.
I was very happy with that.
Excellent. So that's what I love hearing.
Now, since you were directing, and I know on Evil Bong 777, you would do the voice while they were shooting. Did you still do the voice while directing?
I did. There's a lot of talk, and even Charlie was like, maybe you should have someone else do it. I'm like, yeah, but again, it was just sort of, what's weird about Gingerweed Man is, it was an idea that came up in Evil Bong 666 as a character, and I had no real connection to it other than that, as you said, I do the voices during the shoots. And I thought in the back of my head, what if I just by chance come up with a voice that he's going to love and pick for the voice, thinking that's total bullshit. I'm not a professional voice artist, what have you. And so I kind of created a voice in my head of what he would sound like, because all the other voices have been established. And before I was doing it, there was someone else doing it. So that's where I got the idea to do it in the character's voice, the script reading. So I finally kind of came up with, originally I thought, okay, kind of Matthew McConaughey, and base it off this other guy, and just kind of your almost quote unquote typical stoner vibe. And then in the script for Evil Bong 666, he was referenced as having a Boris Karloff accent, I guess, with the Frankenstein vibe. So I'm like, Boris Karloff, what the hell? What am I going to do there? So that's where kind of that British accent rolls in. And so I kind of was watching like Mad Monster Party and listening to his voice, and he's, it's Boris Karloff,
There it is.
Yeah, kind of do that. Exactly. So it was kind of finding that voice. So long story short, we brought in the professional voiceover guy, and 3 hours into it, Charlie goes, you know what, Brooks, this is not working out. Get down here. You're the voice. So I took a kind of a kinship with the character because I had access to the puppet. I was the voice. I mean, do all these little promos for Full Moon, selling for our sales, and kind of make him a mascot, see what happens. Got the movie. And yeah, so it was important for me to still be that character and do the lines with the actress or actors with that, with the character in mind, how he speaks. Not someone who's thinking they're talking like the Gingerweed Man or just running the lines with an actor. I kind of had to act with him, because I could take a line a little longer, a little slower, boom, 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 and get that instant reaction there on set with the person I'm interacting with. It was difficult because I'm trying to read the script, trying to look at the picture and the frame, but that's where I had to really trust Howard. It's like, okay, here's the shot. I trust you, Howard. And I got pretty good because working on the movie, I memorized as much as I could, but it was a little tricky and exhausting, but I think it was necessary because I'm the character. I'm the Gingerweed Man.
Yeah,
let's use me.
You really are, because that was when we were doing Evil Bong and I saw you doing the voice. I was like, is that the guy that does the actual voice?
There you go, yeah.
Because I figured it would be like somebody just reading off the script, like phone rings and they go ring, ring. And then they just dub it over with like a woman's voice, the
exactly.
actual
And
actress.
that's, the traditional way. And when I was on my first Full Moon feature, I think it was Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong, a guy who worked for Full Moon at the time, Ian, who has since left us, unfortunately. That's exactly what he was doing. He was doing the script reading, and he was doing Evil Bong as in character, you know. And I thought, oh, that's, you know, cool and funny. And then when it came time for me, I was like, well, carry that tradition on, you know, keep that going because it's fun. And you know, I like the Medea movies, so it allowed me to get my Medea fixation out. You know, I go, well, you know, so yo, bro, man, hallelujah. And what's so funny is I'm actually working post production on the new Evil Bong, and I love watching the first cuts of them because it's still my voice in the character. So you know, you'll still hear my voice going, "Oh, you jive turkey," blah blah blah. So it's like, no, that's Evil Bong version I want. I don't want the Michelle Mays version, you know, or you know, have the dub over.
I'm so excited about that, about a new one's coming out. So
it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's the quote unquote last one, and Gingerweed does make a little cameo at the very end. So, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and you know, good little nod to Evil Bong fans. And you know, it's the same thing at one location, but I think we had a cool idea and it pulled it off. And actually a really fun shoot too. I had a great time working on it.
oh yeah, if it was like the one that we did, I can only imagine. So that's, or actually I can't. Actually, I can't say that. I can only imagine.
There you go.
I can imagine. I can
get on the set with us, or we'll get back to Vegas.
There we go. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, and a couple of things with Gingerweed Man that I thought was really funny, so I had to write them down. Taking a dump with toilet paper around him, and his eyes are shut, like he's really straining. That somebody said his eyes have to be shut, like he's straining. And
he's got like... No, not at all. That wasn't even in the script. That was essentially, I needed like a little bridge, so I thought, okay, we'll do a little quote unquote cliche getting ready for the day montage, and that was actually shot in my own bathroom. Weeks later, you know, almost about a week before I had to have the final cut in. And I'm like, okay, what can he do? What can I do? I don't have any crew. You know, I'm puppeteering the guy. What can I do? I'm like, okay, take a shit. So I got him propped on the toilet, got the camera angled so I could just hold one little foot off camera to get him to wrinkle, had the toilet paper wrapped around him, you know, and was able to get the pan down from the Elvis portrait down to him pooping. And the squinting of the eyes was completely the effects guy. I didn't ask for it. And he just did it, and that's why, again, get the best crew you can, because you get those little nuggets that make an impression or help really sell the scene. You know, originally he had this real loud Dumb and Dumber blasting of the butt, and that got toned down. So I think the squinting helps it sell better now than it did before.
Oh no, it's very funny, and there you have something that you could sell. You could take toilet paper rolls, sign them as Gingerweed Man, and then also put your name. And because I think that's a classic scene. I think that rivals the ghoulie popping out of the toilet.
Well, you know, it was kind of, again, a subconscious reference. And I had a lot of those on this movie, you know, from the character of Barbara being in a bikini and chains. And she's like, you know, this is your Princess Leia fascination. I go, you're right, it is. I never thought of it. But, you know, in the back of my head, same thing, the ghoulies popping out of the toilet. Great little nod to, you know, really kind of almost all of our first Charles Band experience was ghoulies to a certain degree.
Yeah, to the with her being chained up, I was actually thinking Slave Girls Beyond Infinity.
Oh, well, there you go. I was just like, you know, girls in a chain, you know, just prison chain girls, you know.
You gotta like it. You gotta like it.
It was just a staple of the genre, exploitation. Let's do it. And she was game. I'm like, hey, even better. Hakuna Matata. Let's roll.
See, you gotta get. That's where the key is. You gotta have people that are gonna have fun with it and do it. As an example, I worked on a friend's film, Selena D. It's a short film, and she said, "Would you mind getting down to your underwear?" And I'm like, down to like the boxer briefs.
Yeah.
Now I'm overweight by like 100 pounds. I'm like I said, I'm like about to turn 55. I'm a fat, balding old man.
Yeah. And weird thing, get naked, and you never know.
Yeah, and so I said no at first, and then I went, you know what? She got nude for me in Meat Hook 4, and I'm going to face a fear of people judging me, and I did. There's my full shot. If you ever wanted to see me almost totally naked, there it is.
There it is.
And people said, "My God, I'm so surprised you did that," and stuff. And that's the crew you need. You need, you know, people who are willing to do those things.
You're exactly right. And I lead by example. You know, if I'm going to ask someone to do something, I better damn well be ready to do it myself.
Yes.
And same thing, like Paul Verhoeven doing Starship Troopers and doing the shower scene, and he's like, okay, you don't get naked, I'll get naked. Now get naked, so everyone gets naked. And I'm like you too, face the fear, being a performer, not my forte, being the guy behind the camera, but having to act out as Gingerweed Man, and again, acting with the actors in the movie, not just reading the lines, gets to be a little intimidating, because you're like, oh, I better, I just don't want to read the lines. I'm acting with someone and really trying to convey an emotion for them to bounce off and work with. So that was a very interesting experience, but I think it just, again, goes down to we love this. We love movies. And that's why we're able to break out of our norms, because we hope someone will do it for us. And even at the same time, it's exciting. Like I said, you know what? Hey, I'm down to my skivvies, walking around the set. This is fun. This is exciting.
Yeah, why not?
And once you get over that initial, people are going to judge or whatever, which, at the end of the day, no one really will care.
No.
I've been on sets, with the women walking around naked, and you're like, how do you do it? I mean, hey, if I was, chiseled out and handled like an elephant, I'd walk around naked all day. What the hell? But again, being a filmmaker is that adrenaline, taking that dare. And so I think that's cool. And again, shows why you're doing what you're doing, and because you love it and the story. And when you're working with other people that love it, you want to give them, you want to be respectful and give them what they want. So if they want John Ward in bikini briefs, okay, you got it.
Yeah.
Well, or a mankini, what the hell?
Yeah, and it's funny because I at one point, like a year later, I had done a few things like this for people, and I took pictures and I put them up on Facebook, and I said, at times you just have to act out of your comfort zone, and do these things. I didn't get any negative comments. Surprisingly, more women liked it than men, and because I think that they have, women have insecurities about themselves. No matter how beautiful a woman is, she still has an insecurity. And now they're seeing, oh, look, here's a man who's doing it. I obviously don't look like Brad Pitt. So it's like, that, and so you need to do things like that. And that's why
you sure do. I think, I'm again, I look back at myself, I think I'm very easy to fall into a comfort zone. I kind of did over the pandemic. Like, I love working from home. I love rolling out of bed where I'm at. I don't want to go back to an office. And now I'm like, I like going back to an office. What was I thinking? And it's because I think we're just creature of habits. We're a creature of ease. And, and so I'm known to always like, I'll go do something by myself because no one else will. I'll go hang out at a bar on my own. I'll go to the movies. People are like, why would you do that by yourself? Like, why not?
Right.
What else? You're going to sit at home and not do anything. And
I'm going
to have an experience. And again, filmmaking requires so much because you have to be daring. You have to trust your judgment because you're leading a crew of people. You're in essence assembling images to tell a story and hopefully to make someone money. And they're trusting you're the guy to do it. And you have to, and we all get scared. We all, I don't know if I do it, but we all have to take that step forward and do it and have that confidence. And like I said, I think people are attracted to it. People pick up on it. If you walk onto set, my old friend, Bob Len, who I worked with on VTR, always said, you got to be like a duck on set. Calm and cool on the surface, but you're paddling like a motherfucker underneath.
Right.
And that's what you got to be. That's how I'm a director. I've got a million things in my head, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Plus, how am I going to do that later? This, that. But I can't let anyone see it. You can't let your crew see it. You've got to be the general. And if you're doing it, they're going to follow that lead and they're going to have that energy and they're going to back you 100%. And again, it's just being a role model. And people, I think, are just drawn to confidence and that confident level. And like say, if you coming out there in your skivvies, this guy's confident as a motherfucker. How can I not be behind this guy?
Right. Yeah. And I like that you have to be calm outside and then you can be panicking inside, because as the guy Matt Collins, who shot Axis 2, he told me on set, he goes, 50% of filmmaking is figuring out problems.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And
I mean, no matter, I'm a big pre-planner, I like to know my location. I like to storyboard, pre-plan, somewhat block. And no matter how much prep you do, something's going to go wrong. or you're going to notice something the day of, like the way the light actually hits the actor now that he's in unit costume, or something will alter your master plan. And a good director has to be able to work with that in an instant, you know, especially like, okay, there's a day your actor doesn't show up. How are you going to make your day without your person there? What are you going to do?
Right.
Waste your day and money? No, throw someone in the jacket over the shoulder. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll pick it up later. And with 5 days, you really got to be on your A game. You really got to know what you're doing. And like I said, working on a full moon movie is the best kind of schooling you can. And you know, I think it's awesome you got so much working on Evil Bong 7, because it's a great primer on how to make something good, bad, whatever, make something in 5 days that you can put out with a beginning, middle, and end. You know, it's well produced, you know, doesn't look like it was made in your grandma's garage. You know,
Right.
it's a system, and you have to know what you're doing, and it's confidence in everything. And yeah, it's just, it's, I think it's special. It's unique to the low budget industry, which I love.
Well, and that's why I always appreciated, you know, Charles Band when he would do the video zones.
Oh, you and me both. I mean, I more or less, even if I didn't care about the full moon movie itself, I would just run it because, okay, what's the new video zone? What's he introducing? And again, in a weird way, looking back, he was my real introduction to filmmaking, because he was like one of the first filmmakers, you know, probably outside like Spielberg, whose name was just big, and Lucas, who's just big because Star Wars and ET and all. But Charles Band always stood out because he was the guy that kind of lifted the mystery, that kind of made it invitable. Like, you know what, I'm doing this, you know, and you couldn't do it too. You know, this is how we do it. Let me walk you through, because no one else is walking you through their movies. You know, you saw some BTS
Right.
stuff, but here he is like, dudes, and it was always dudes, come on in, like we were your friends. And I think that was so important to so many filmmakers coming up in that era, you know, with the video zones. And I'm glad he still does it to a certain degree nowadays. And again, he's always been that kind of guy that can wrangle a group together and wrangle a fan base and get your excitement going.
Yeah, that's why I picked up, and I've been trying to find it for a while. It's just been really expensive, but I posted on Facebook a couple of times that I was watching Sin Maker.
Oh yeah,
And
it's a great little package.
yeah, and even though it's totally out of date,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we need an updated version of that.
He thought of it. It's something that could be in the works, you know. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's still interesting. You know, you still learn things from it, and it's great that he took time to make it.
Well,
And
that's it. Yeah,
you know, it's a film school in a box.
well, that's it.
You know,
You know, I'm sure for you, you know, coming into this business, so much of it in the day was always such a, how do I get my foot in the door? You really have to know someone to get into the door. And over the last, you know, I would say couple of years, decades, that's changed because of YouTube and people getting access to a certain quality of camera. You still see a lot of crap, mind you, but you know, before when I made a Super 8 movie, I'm like, who can I get watch this? You know, I finally transferred it to video and sent it out to John Landis, who watched it very kindly.
oh,
But again, you didn't have an audience. You didn't have YouTube where you could direct people. Now the whole world's open up. Plus, for streaming, everyone wants content. So I think that's changed the playing game from before. You know,
yeah, because Tubi has an entire full moon section.
yeah, you know, I mean, streaming is what has kept us, so much as what the video store kept us alive in the 90s in the heyday. Streaming really is what's keeping us going now. You know, we have our own service. We have our Amazon channel, which is, you know, same stuff, just a separate payment through Amazon, what have you. But Tubi's great. Pluto, we're getting our stuff on. We're licensing it, trying to license stuff out to even more people. I think maybe Shudder, who knows? But I think, like it or not, it's where entertainment is going. People like the ease and comfort of just, oh, I can just stream it. Boom, I don't have something on my shelf. I got the whole library. I can watch it all at once. And we're so tied to the computer. I mean, TVs aren't TVs anymore. It's a monitor.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just a weird, different world we're in. And it's a cursing and a blessing. You know, I think it's great that all these people can get out there and get their stuff out. But I think too, we're seeing a lessening of quality, because we're accepting, because this video got so many views, it's worth something now, when it was shot like shit and, you know, no real artistic quality to it. Just because it got X number of views, it's given a merit of quality now, which
Right.
kind of shitty. But I think it's great, you know, for guys who are trying to get something made and they do an Indiegogo. That's getting your movie out there, and you have YouTube and these places that will pick up these movies and get it out there to see. Which before, you were lucky to see a Charles Band movie in a theater. You know, it was only
Yeah.
low budget theaters that would play them, maybe for a week. They're in and gone, and then maybe at a video store, and that was it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is I think, if you don't mind, how old are you?
47.
Okay, so we're close enough.
Yeah,
So
74.
okay, so I think it's our generation was really the last one to truly have these really cool things
Without
because
a doubt, 100% agree with you. Just
yeah,
saying
and
that the other day.
drive-ins, going to see certain bands, you know, movies. I mean, I think now with streaming and stuff, you know, it's I think it takes away. It's a great way of watching it, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also I would much rather own this than stream
Well, you
it.
and me both. You know, to me, I just don't like the fact it's where is it? I want to own it. Oops, knocked a figure over. Big deal. Um, but you know, I think you said we were the last of a generation that where we grew up with a certain quality of entertainment in movies. For me on TV, I was just thinking the same thing where I grew up watching Abbott and Costello movies and older movies, you know, on Channel 5, Channel 11, because that's what they were running. And we can appreciate this weird, you know, cross between the new generation and this old generation. You know, stop motion's awesome, you know, whatever. Whereas this new generation is so primed to be so quick thinking, ADD, that, you know, you don't like it, move on, get rid of it. Next thing, you know, what's next in the queue? Like my nephew, I love him, but he's like 5, and then I see where, you know, he's watching YouTube where he sees what's coming next. He doesn't want to watch full screen. It's what's next, and that's just kind of the. I mean, like I said, streaming is great. All this stuff is on there, but who's watching it? We're being told what to watch and how to watch it, and you know, I think it's just kind of what I love with Full Moon is, you know, we just have our little niche, and I'm hoping people can break out of that norm and find us. And that's what's great, because the little horror community does break out of that norm, breaks out of the matrix, if you will, and finds these little cool avenues to see different, unusual things.
Well, and I think for Full Moon, it's as much as I like physical and want physical Full Moon, I think streaming is probably the best way.
It is, because otherwise video stores are gone. So there's no one renting physical copies anymore. And so if we can't get into a Target or whatever, how do you know this movie even exists? And that's where I think streaming has overall saved and ignited a whole new world of entertainment. Because you can say you go on something like Tubi and you're like, oh, here's my movie. And then next thing you know, if you like this, you might like this. And you start discovering this, and you go down that rabbit hole to where you find something like Gingerweed Man. You know, you're like, oh, someone watched Pineapple Express, and work your way down to Gingerweed Man. Great. So I think it's awesome that because of this need for content, everything is out there and what have you. I'm with you. I just like seeing maybe a library with books. I want to see a library with my movies on them. And, you know, I know when I want to watch it, it's there. And if bad weather is happening, I'm not going to lose it. But without a doubt, it's what's kept Full Moon alive. Otherwise, yeah, we'd be trying to just sell DVDs somewhere and tell you, you know, relive the magic of the old Puppet Master instead of trying to make new ones.
Yeah, and if you know, if you're old enough and knowing the history of Charles Band and his dad and Richard Band and all that, you do see an evolution of coming to streaming. From
without a doubt, you know,
it's the, you know, when he used to distribute stuff out on like MGM, and then some would be on other. So if you were a collector, I remember I would have to buy a whole bunch of different companies just to get those films. Then Paramount, and then he started to distribute it by himself.
Yep.
And then, you know, because that's how you get something like this.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, we're all self-distribution, and, you know, we produce great content, you know, and we have it. And that's the key, you know, and if you, like I said, as you look back, you know, it was, okay, we're going to do this low budget. We'll do the drive-ins. And then, okay, oh, hey, home video. he had one of the very first home video labels and licensing Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, and realizing, okay, people don't want to pay $100 for a movie, but you'll rent them. So, we'll get that business going. And I think, again, with low budget filmmaking, it's how do you get, we're more or less pushed out of the theater. So it's like, again, how do we get noticed? How do we get stuff seen? And yeah, you can produce a DVD for X number of dollars, but again, if you don't get into the right stores, if you don't have promotion, who knows that it exists? So that's the great thing with streaming is you get on these platforms and, you're just seeing what all is there, and you can run into whatever crazy movie you've never heard of, either by an alphabetical search or based on your likes or recommendations or cool cover art. It is the future of the video store, because that's what we used to do. Go into Blockbuster, and if the box looks cool, we'll rent it. Now
Right.
you're just flipping through your TV. So it is a natural evolution, and Charles Band is always kind of, I think doesn't get enough credit for being on top of it and, jumping on it in its infancy.
Well, and
okay, hey, Netflix is doing something, so yeah, let me start Full Moon streaming, so you can see my movies, so I don't have to pay Netflix, or they can't, do what they want with my movies, and you can see them how they're supposed to be seen, the way they're supposed to be seen.
oh yeah. And but even social media, the way you did it, I didn't know Gingerweed Man. I directed my first film, Gingerweed Man. I went, what? And then I started looking into it. So your one post let all these people know you had directed a film. This is what it's called, and here's where you can see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, social media has changed the game. So, like you said, someone can shoot a video, like I said, them getting hit in the nuts with a football. That famous Simpsons episode,
Yeah.
and through however it is, through a post, it's that weird spreads like wildfire effect algorithm. It's amazing the access. I look at the Gingerweed Man trailer on YouTube, and like 33,000 people, watch this. I mean, I'm happy if one person, watched this and got something out of it. It's just it's an amazing marketplace to see, and we've seen, overseas, the impact these movies still have and generate. People love seeing this stuff, and you tend to forget. We get so isolated in our little bubbles that there's billions of people out there, and who knows what they like. And even if it's a small portion, it's a big portion at the end of the day, and it's, again, keeping us alive. And I think allowed, like I said, not just for companies like Full Moon, but for self distributors to get in on it and get your own movies distributed, which is always a pain in the butt. Unless you have someone behind you. You can crowdfund your ass off and pay off whatever loans or get into whatever debt and get the movie made, but who's going to see it? How do you get people to see it unless you rent a theater or more or less put it out there, and everyone sees it for free on YouTube. So it's a catch-22, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing, because again, I think we're that generation where getting into this business was such a mystery. How do I get into it without making some kind of movie? And the right director sees it and says, okay, kid, you can get on set.
Yeah.
And that was the only way, where now you can put it on YouTube and get that same kind of vibe. You can just be a star on YouTube. Who needs the studio to call you?
Yeah. It just has to be good. That's
the number one thing.
Even low budget good is fine. Micro budget good is fine.
To me, there's no excuse for it. I don't care how much money you have. Your movie has to look good and has to make some kind of sense.
Sure. I agree with that.
Bottom line, just do the best you can. No one sets out to make a bad movie. I get that, but there's no excuse for taking shortcuts and just saying, "Oh, who cares?" I've been around people. I've been around those kind of sets, that attitude, and it's like, why are you in this business? You're just looking to get a filmography, not it's quality over quantity over quality.
Well, and there are filmmakers out there who have 200 movies and prefer, quantity over quality and still get distribution. So,
well, that's just it. That's the syndrome of this new kind of YouTube-y sentimentality. It's all about It's all about numbers of people. So, if you made 200 movies, well, you must know what you're doing. And if we're the same people supplying it, well, we know what you're doing because we can give you $200 and you can crank out a piece of crap, and we can put a cover on it, put it in a Walmart or a Target, and we'll make, some change off this investment, which, can't argue business. Again, we can argue
No,
artistic content and merit, but they can't argue the the financial way of doing it.
but if Charles Band just sat there and said, Brooks, I just want you to make crappy movies. Go out and where we could see the person holding Gingerweed
Oh yeah.
Man. Nobody would trust Full Moon anymore. No,
Well,
nobody
that's just
would
it.
want to watch it.
Hold on, well, that's just it. We have a certain level, even if it's with stop motion, even if it's our certain level, people expect to see the puppets moving. People want that, and I think you owe it to them to do it. If play into your limit. Like for me, I knew my limitations, so I played into them. I made them a joke instead of taking the audience out of it with the limitation. Play into it. Okay, it's funny. It's strings. The mouth doesn't always match or move. It's the joke. It's the sentimentality. It's nothing. Everything goes. But I think that Charles Band's credit is he's always, like you said, he doesn't say go make a crappy movie. He says make it crazy, and he's your biggest cheerleader. Even for my first movie, he's like, oh, you're doing great, Brooks. This is great. Try it this way. Never said no to any of my ideas. Just let me run with the ball, and but again, I think it comes down to trust. You trust a filmmaker or whoever to come with a certain level of quality. He could hire someone to just shoot something and get it done, but he hires people who can, yes, get that done, but get it done in an artful, good-looking way. So yeah, we're not producing and selling you something crap in your face.
Well, yeah, that's why I was not surprised by Gingerweed Man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was not. I never expected it to be low quality. I always, because one, of course, I am a little biased from working on Evil Bong, but and knowing how you guys do it, but just from watching all the other films that led up to this, I knew that it would be entertaining. It would be fun. I would laugh. That I would recommend it. I knew that going into it. I would have been very disappointed if it was just like, what is this?
Well, yeah, that was even something that weighed on me was, while we wanted to really get away from the Evil Bong formula and have this stand on its own, there's a lot of talk. Let's have EB and let's have this character and that character, and Kent, screenwriter, was like, no, we really need to keep this fresh, keep this different. This is a spinoff, and I'm like, okay, you're right. But it was still keeping that vibe. And love them or hate them, the Evil Bong movies have a certain vibe, a certain humor to them.
Yes.
And I wanted to keep that visual look, that vibe, but with my own sensibility, my own sense of telling a joke. Like the cockfighting thing. And the feathers flying.
I have that written down.
Yeah, it's such an out there little moment. And there's actually there's more of a cockfighting joke that got cut, but just doing stuff like that. So it was a bit. The one challenge was, am I matching the Full Moon sensibility? Because I think all Full Moon movies, whether they're horror, sci-fi, they all have a certain feel and vibe. You're watching a Full Moon movie. Even if you don't see the logo, you're watching a Charles Band movie. There's just a certain feel, and that I wanted to keep that vibe going. I didn't want to stray the course. I wanted to be my own voice, and when I look back, it's like, man, I wish I went crazier here, zanier there, but it was my own voice. It was what I wanted. It was a fantastic script, more than I could have asked for. But I do think it stacks up well with what has happened or taken place before and after, better than I think some of the other movies have that we've released lately.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sit right in my collection because I have them all like that. So it's whichever one came out first. So it'd be like Ginger Dead Man, then Evil Bong, and then I even got the Killjoy box set, and then with all the other movies.
Oh, right.
So I have them in some sort of order, and so that's Gingerweed Man will sit like right there. So
perfect.
Yeah, so that's like, Miranda was very impressed when she came over to my house the first time, and she's just like, "Oh my God, you have a whole Full Moon collection."
Yeah. Most people have them, or they know that movie, but do they have a collection, or do they have their little shrine, their Full Moon shrine?
Exactly.
Not very many people do.
Well, and now you could collect them by number that are on the sides.
Well, that's just it. He's, if you walk into our new office, he's got this giant mural that's all the posters starting from number 0. Last Foxtrot in Burbank, all the way up to, you know, the current title coming out, you know, Invasion of the Cam Girl coming out, or no, Evil Bong 8, with spaces for the other ones. So, you know, again, I was really like, okay, what number am I? 340, you know, 342. I want a good number. I don't want a shitty number. I want to have a good spine number on my movie.
Are the numbers authentic? Like, is Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong actually the 266th film made, or is it just a number?
I don't know how tacked down to it is, but it is pretty close to, that's the whatever number of movie Charles Band has been associated with, produced, directed, you know, come out through him that he's been involved in.
So, because I noticed that yours at the end is 342.
Yeah.
So
it's technically the 342th film.
I noticed in the dispensary that there is several boxes that say Full Moon number 307.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, what is 307? So, being me, I Googled Full Moon number 307. Bunker of Blood number 8, Butcher's Bake Off, Hell's Kitchen popped up. I'm like, okay, let's go onto YouTube and type in that trailer. And it appears to be all the Ginger Dead Man films compiled into one thing, you know, into one film.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's other Bunkers of Blood, but this is number 8.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it that was all. This is how much of a geek I am that I actually paused the movie and it did that research to figure it out.
Well, I mean, that was not it at all. I mean, that premise was Charlie had an idea for a contest that you're going to watch Gingerweed Man. We're going to put one of the movie's numbers up there, and the viewer would have to go find out what number matched with that movie and watch that movie for another clue. And then somehow you get like a gift card at the end of this thing.
Did I win?
All some kind of weird promotional thing to get people to watch the movie. Watch Gingerweed Man, you know, find the hidden movie, watch the hidden movie, and you get a prize. So, you know, that's how that whole thing planned out. And we were like, let's really hide this movie logo. But Charles was like, no, people got to find it. But I'm like, well, you just blasted it right there. It's right in front of their face. And I'm like, hide this sucker, make it a real challenge. But that's where that comes from. And it was a nice thing that was, you know, that Bunker of Blood episode with the Ginger Dead Man bits in it. I think.
Well, now see, I thought it was the post-credit scene that it linked somehow, because this was the Ginger Dead Man films, and then of course our Easter egg at the very end is that, you know, we find out that it's Ginger Dead Man. I'm like, oh, there's a connection.
Yeah, it was a very awesomely coincidental connection, not planned whatsoever.
I think too much into these things.
The post-credit sequence was always planned because obviously, you know, those two have crossed paths in the Evil Bong movies. And I wanted to kind of do that kind of Marvel-esque, okay, what's the next adventure? What are we going to expect? What are we going to get ourselves into? And originally, kind of blowing it, but, you know, the movie's been out for a year, so if you've seen it, you've seen it. You know, the bad guy, the head bad guy reveals himself to be the Ginger Dead Man after all this time. And the gimmick was it's going to be this, you know, human-sized body with a tiny little head. And when we went to shoot it, I wasn't clear enough, and they brought a giant Ginger Dead Man head.
Oh,
so I'm like, oh crap, what are we going to do? So the gimmick was always going to be that Ginger Dead Man was working a robotic body. So that's why when you watch the movie and the cloaked figures making all those little zzz, 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 noises, that's actually because it's all robotic joints in there. And Ginger Dead Man is, you know, kind of controlling it robot jock style. And so then I was like, well, how did I get his head big? And that I finally figured out, okay, we tried some things where we tried to make some giant shoulder pads to wear for Alan to wear, because he, you know, played that part. And it didn't work. It was, you know, good try, guys. I like where you're going, but it didn't work. So I said, okay, here's the deal. If you remember in part 6, Evil Bong 666, he gets stepped on, destroyed, and essentially would go to hell. So my outline was he goes to hell, has to confront who else but the Keeper of the Dead, Rat Spit, who he makes a deal with, who sends him back up to Earth to take over Earth, to create a hell on Earth for Rat Spit to enjoy. And so the Ginger Dead Man was like, all right, send me up to Earth, give me all this stuff, give me a lot of head. So he sends it up to Earth with a big head. So it's gonna be a big head, tiny body, operating stuff. That was the initial idea, and that's why all that happens the way you see it unfold.
I mean, I guess you could. I mean, if you really, I mean, he could still be a robot, and that just be like a
Oh no,
robot
it's
head.
still It's now the gimmick is it's a giant head with the little pastry body operating the robot.
There you go. So yeah, so it still works. Yeah,
So we
yeah.
totally made it work. In fact, I was panicking, and then I was like, "That's the idea." Okay, perfect idea, guys. It works even better. I love it. Funnier gag. Oh, let's do the sequel. Now we're just waiting for the sequel.
Yeah, and I highly recommend people watching this. Do you feel that you need to see the other films, or is this kind of a standalone movie?
I think it's a standalone film. I think it's one of those things. If you're a fan, it works because again, you're familiar with the world. You know what to expect. You'll know Ooga Booga when he appears. You'll catch some of the you'll if you're a real deep diehard fan, you'll catch the references. But we did want it to sort of be a cold opening, so you could walk into it and not necessarily know what had happened before. I debated about originally maybe a little flashback to how the Gingerweed Man was created, but again, I was just kind of like, you know what? It didn't feel like we needed to really explain him. Let's let him be his own character as you would just find a character. Like, we don't see James Bond being born and his formative years and growing up in a flashback. It's just he's James Bond.
Right.
Mind you, Batman. Of course, we see what made him Batman, that one incident. But again, we don't go through the college years or his pre-toddler years. It's like, okay, there's that horrific event. Start from there. And so with Gingerweed Man, it was, okay, he's going to be a shitty little puppet, but he's just going to be this oblivious doofus. He's got a heart of gold. He's horny as a horn dog, but he's just a doof. And, when things in and out the ear, he can't concentrate to save his life. And so that was all I really was worried about, getting the audience up to speed with, and hopefully they bought into that. And I didn't feel the need to go in to explain, okay, well, at the end of 777, he's walking out in the middle of the desert. I kind of had an idea should we explain that? Nah, just get right into it. Who cares?
Right. I mean, in a sequel, you always could if you wanted. I mean, there's no reason why you can't go back.
Yeah, you can always revisit it,
or just leave it. Yeah, but like there. It is.
Yeah. And as you know, these evil Bong movies, continuity has never been a strong suit. So.
Oh no, time travel and everything else has been in this.
Vaginal portals. This.
Evil Mindy Robinson, good Mindy. I mean,
you lose track of how many Mindys, and who knows. So again, it plays into the you better be stoned to watch this, because then it makes sense. You won't care.
Well, now it is called Part 1, The Weed Man. So I guess Part 2, for you to put that on there, there has to be some sort of talk of a sequel.
Well, initially it goes back to the initial release on these movies, where they're going to be, even though we shot this as a feature, it was going to be released in 2 parts.
Oh.
And that's kind of what, like when you see the old Resonators, Resonator episode 1, episode this, Don't Let Her In was episode 1. We'll always release them as one feature, like we've finally done with Gingerweed Man on Tubi. And if you watch it, there's chapter 1, chapter 2. And so I knew that going in, it would be broken up in 2 parts. And because I knew it wasn't a series, I didn't want to confuse people. So I just kind of went with, okay, well, what Tarantino does, he's got a movie and he's got chapters in his movie. Right. So that's what I wanted to convey. Like, okay, chapter 1 was going to be this. We're introducing Gingerweed Man. You're introducing him, you get the basic setup, like, okay, there's a little nugget, something's up with a nugget, someone's after it. But now we're just setting up Gingerweed Man. So then the next week when we released Part 2, that was chapter 2, the baby nug, or the nug, or something like that. I forget what I called it. And now when you see it as a feature, again, it should just play more like, okay, this is a feature with 2 chapters, instead of confusing people with, is this, what am I seeing a sequel? Am I not? Because that is a problem we've run into already, and I didn't want to run into, and I decided calling it chapter 1 was just kind of a little classy thing. And again, it's 45 minutes. I wanted to make you feel like you're watching something other than blink and you miss a 45-minute movie.
Right. Now I got to warn you, we're at the 2-hour mark. Do you wish to continue, or do you have things to do?
We can keep going a little longer.
Okay. So great, thank you. So
yeah, for sure.
My question is, how are these things combined, like these films? What, like, I know Jack Death made an appearance in one of the, I think it was Evil Bong
Evil Bong,
films.
yeah.
Yeah, and so why combine Ginger Dead Man with Evil Bong, or why combine, like how do you guys come up with this idea of combining things together? Because why not have Ginger Dead Man with Robot Wars?
Oh yeah, I think it comes down to, I mean, if you look at, I think it goes down to Charles's love of like the old Universal movies, and obviously you get Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, which we can all say is just one of the great crossover movies of all time, where you've got, it just all worked. So I think it's being a fan of that type of scenario. Obviously, he's one of the first guys to have a shared universe of movies he could cross-pollinate with, Dollman versus Demonic Toys, stuff like that. But he's careful about it too. So, you will kind of see like appropriate characters crossing over with each other. You'll get Dollman versus Demonic Toys because Dollman had the other little girl from Bad Channels. And, why not have a little Dollman blowing up toys who are the size of toys? It works.
Sure.
And, I think, you want to see Ginger Dead Man Robot Wars because, yeah, crazy idea, but, robot, okay, squish, boom, over.
That's
what's
it.
going on. I think it would be more like akin to like if there was a crazy Ginger Dead Man movie being made and, okay, he takes over a big robot and there's your Robot Wars reference per se. It wouldn't be so much of a crossover of characters, more just like an inside reference or joke. And I think that's where you kind of have to be careful. You make sure the properties work with each other. I could write all kinds of jokes with Blade and Pinhead from Puppet Master and Gingerweed Man. But, you want to kind of treat those characters with a more serious tone so you can still be afraid of them. You don't want to lose that kind of air that they have if they're in the wrong project. That's why with Gingerweed Man, the goal was to sort of include all the misfit characters who, were like a spin-off or a little throwaway character. Well, here's your chance to shine in this little world. We're not going to have Radu. We're not, maybe Killjoy could cross over or something like that. But, you're not going to have more serious characters per se come into this world. I don't think they would fit. They would stand out a bit more.
So when you're writing, the Gingerweed Man, mm-hmm. How did you, what was your process into writing this and figuring out that, Ooga Booga is a good character to put in there instead of maybe like EB or somebody?
Well, yeah. Well, that was more or less, and it kind of comes on to the other answer to that previous question was you put in who the boss tells you to put in. And we were told to put in Ooga Booga for whatever reason. So, I was like, okay, well, what can we do with the Ooga Booga? Well, let me play into the old racist sidekick joke. And that's what I did. And again, I didn't write the initial script. Kent Rodebush wrote the script in pretty much what you see. I came in, rewrote, and more or less streamlined it, simplified it for budget reasons, shoot-wise, what we knew we could do. And then to kind of give a little bit more, again, bring that more character to Gingerweed Man. There was almost times where I thought he was too smart in the original script. Like, okay, I see the point you're making, but he gets there too fast. It should be more of an obtuse epiphany, and then, oh, we'll save the day this way. No, it's like, oh, I don't have a plan other than run for dear life, but your idea works, So, my process was, I got a terrific script to start with. It had the adventure, it had the characters, it had the setups that, could have gone a million different ways, but I loved the way they went. I was very happy with that script. So again, mainly what I did was figure out, make Gingerweed Man more the character I envisioned him, streamline it so we could shoot this. The whole Ooga Booga thing, the masturbation thing, that was there from day one. And Ken was like, this is the best scene of the movie. And I said, hey, leave it alone. I think the only thing I kind of changed was the line like, oh, right, Barbara, here, we're coming to save you. And of course, coming and, oh, we're jerking off. I kind of threw it that way. But my process on this one in particular was just keeping true to what I thought the character was, keeping true to what I could get away with, and trying to do something different. and trying to have it all work. There are things I think I can truthfully say I maybe played a little too safe. I wish I went a little crazier with ideas. But again, first sequel and first time at bat, let's, again, learn the process and learn to see what I can get away with, what I can't. So I can get away with what I want to in the future.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Go
in
crazy on part
general,
two.
writing, my process is always I want to have a good angle. I want to have a good opening, but I always want to know my ending. I always want to know where I'm going to. I can always figure out how to get there a million different ways, what have you, but I want to know A, B, to C first. All the rest I'll fill in, and I can come up with an idea after smoking a joint or hanging out with a friend who gives me an idea. But I need to know. I can't start writing until I know how it's going to end. I can't just start writing and figure it out. No, 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 no. That's not me. I know I need to know how it's going to end. So again, I got the perfect script. It had a great beginning. I altered the beginning a bit because it originally was a guy in his mom's basement. I just thought we've seen it before. So just a guy in his own little makeshift flab. And then when we got to the set where we were shooting, there wasn't really anywhere that looked like a makeshift lab. So I thought, well, why not? Like, he works for a big company, FU Tech. And so he's working on it for the company lab after hours. So we'll turn this little office cubicle set into a lab set. Boom, done and done. We'll make it happen. So it's just kind of having your brain wired. You have to be totally invested into the story and invested into how to tell it, and know tricks of the trade. Know how to, get a lighting trick out of, a Home Depot lamp and a colorful light bulb. Oh, that looks like a cop's here because we're just flashing red and blue lights somewhere.
Right, right.
It comes from, just again, I think we talked about earlier, playing around in this world and, not afraid to run with an idea and have it. And again, as far as the process goes, I will generally tend to write with what I know I have available to me. So I know I have 5 days and limited locations, limited money. So, I can't have Gingerweed Man, on an airplane, doing jetpacks and shit. It's like, okay, I think I can get away with on a little weed cycle and zooming by the camera and with a remote control. And I think I can get away with this environment for an action scene. I mean, there was a bigger action scene that I wanted the movie to end with, but we got down to it and I was going to be another 4 hours overtime. So I had to scrap the whole thing to just the part of it you see now. Originally, he was going to do karate and all this crazy stuff. But, just we ran ourselves into a hole and I had to make those choices. So,
but that's something you could take for part two. I mean,
well, that's just it.
The
lead actress, Naya, was like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to cut it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not, because now I know what to do with part two. And this ending will actually have more gravitas, more weight now that we have part one behind us. It has a bit of a more of emotional scenario that will carry more weight now in the sequel as opposed to the first movie. So it worked out. Again, I was blessed with those happy kind of accidents.
So when you're assigned to this, so how does that exactly work? You're in the Full Moon cafeteria, you're eating your sandwich. Charles Band comes up to you and says, I want you to direct Gingerweed Man. You're already 2 days behind. Give me that script in 2 days. Is it something like that, or how does that work?
To it, we were working from home at the time, and I had no idea what was coming up. I knew that we were maybe doing this, resonator stuff, and he's always talking about getting productions going, but you just never know. And so one day in November, out of the blue, he calls me and says, hey, do you got a minute? I'm like, sure. Not knowing what it was going to be about, I said, okay, well, you get your first movie. Excuse me. And I was like, oh, what? and it's perfect for you. Get this, the Gingerweed Man. And truthfully speaking, to this day, I was like, holy shit, that's my dream come true. I got a legit movie. I didn't have to scrape, sell my soul. Someone offered me the movie. But I was just so blown away. I never really sunk in, so I'm like, wow, that just really happened. So, he was like, okay, this is the movie. We're going to plan to shoot it at this time, and off you go. So that's what it was. And, I met with Kent. We kind of ironed out what we wanted to do as far as a plot. And we pitched it to Charlie and said, okay, it's Gingerweed Man. He's got a business. He's going to get a little baby nug. Bad guys are after it. There you go. Okay, fine, go write it. Okay, he just has to bang someone. Hot chicks. Okay, cool. Script came by, he loved it, refined it. He had a few notes. Well, Ooga Booga, because originally Ooga Booga is going to be kind of Groot, just Ooga Booga ever, Ooga Booga, Ooga Booga. And he's like, well, no, Ooga Booga just says it once or twice. He just grunts. So a little bit of notes that way, but otherwise it was just good news. You got a movie, do it. And even when it came down to the second little feature I worked with him on, Famous TNA 2, it was just like, okay, I got your next project. It's this, and we're going to do it by here and have it by then, and boom, off and running.
That I've seen the first one of those. I remember when the first one came out. So
yeah, I mean, it was one of our top movies on Amazon. They kind of overlooked it. They kind of poo-poo sexy stuff, but it was bringing in great money. So of course it's like, well, we got to do a part 2. And Brooks, so you're on it. So I sifted through all of the full moon movies, all the stuff we license and stream. Wrote the script that Diana Prince, who is our host, wrote that script like overnight, thinking like, well, someone else is going to write the script. I'll just kind of tweak it. But no, that didn't happen. So I'm writing it for the next day to get approved. It got approved. And again, it was this really crazy idea of just like, here's your movie. And like I said, here's your assignment, go do it. And it's just nice to be left alone to do it. You kind of worry like, am I going to do it right? But I tell myself, well, he wouldn't give it to me if he didn't trust me. So I'd be a fool not to continue and go with it.
That's awesome. Because I remember back in the day when I was a kid with Wizard home video, we had, the best of sex and violence,
film gore, all that stuff.
Film gore. There was, like the famous TNA. There was all of those. And I had no idea what Wizard was, except that it had nudity. They have movies cool with nudity. Yeah. And so my mom, not knowing what that was, let me order a lot of those films. And then, of course, realizing later on in life, like, oh my God, this is Charles Band.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's the same way with Full Moon. I mean, I was the kid who's going to the video store like, I'm too young, I can't rent porn, so I'll rent low budget horror movies. I'll see boobies. So, anything low budget I'd rent if it looked like it had boobies. And next thing I'm watching Full Moon movies, not realizing I'm watching Full Moon movies. And realizing, oh my God, I'm renting it for the wrong reasons. Now I'm sucked back into the world of Charles Band, and fate has brought us back together. Little we know we're going to be working together some 20 odd years in the future.
It's just weird. It's really weird how stuff just kind of works out.
Well, for me, definitely, because, again, I think I touched on it earlier. I wanted my first experience in this industry to be working for Roger Corman or Charles Band, working on these low budget movies. And lo and behold, it took longer than I would have liked, but here I am working for Charles Band. And I didn't ask for a job. I didn't ask, hey, I want to make movies. He just saw, okay, you can do it. Boom, go make a movie. And again, even to this day, it really hasn't sunk in. I've made a movie because I'm still like in awe, like, did I just make my first movie for Charles Band? And not
yes, you did.
Did I make a Charles Band movie, but I'm like, I'm the star of it. I directed it. I wrote it for Charles Band. It still hasn't quite registered in my head of like, holy shit, you've done it. You did it.
Just congratulations. I mean,
I still pinch myself. Like I said, we're in the offices. I'm like, I'm in my own office working for Charles Band. This is really happening. Holy shit.
It's for me with working on Evil Bong 777. To me, it was almost like because I blew it with Corman a long time ago. And I went to high school with Roger Corman's personal assistant, who was also Concord's lawyer.
Okay.
And I called them and said, hey, can you get like Jim Wynorski and some of these guys to sign my posters?
Yeah.
And she said, sure, why not? Send them down. And I sent them down, and she goes, well, what's your address? And I told her my address, which was Northern California, Marin County. And she goes, that's funny. My brother lives in Marin County. So I sent them a treatment for a film. The very last script reader, who would basically be the guy to give it to Corman, sent me back notes. How dare you? How dare you send notes to me, a nobody? And I rejected it. How dare you? And then she offered me a job as a PA. And I said, well, do I get paid? And she's like, no, you don't. And I'm just like, how dare you?
Yep. No, I've been right there too.
Oh, and I blew it.
No, I
Absolutely
mean, you know,
blew it.
that
So
was kind of the way with Charles Band, you know. I mean, I was doing, you know, commercial PA work, you know, making good money, good rates, but it was just freelance work. So it only would come and go when it was there. And I saw an ad, be a free intern, work for Full Moon. I'm like, Full Moon? They're still around? What the hell? And I was like, well, you know, if I'm not working on a commercial, why not hang out at Full Moon and maybe get on one of their movies? They're still making movies. And, you know, that was it. And at the time I was kind of like, oh, I'm working at Full Moon making, you know, I'm getting free movies. You know, this is great. You know, not like I need to pay the bills. Just, you know, I'm having a good time. But, you know, I kind of grounded myself because, again, when I did my original cut of Gingerweed Man and Charlie came back with, cut this from the swinger scene and cut this, I was just like, no, you know, this is my movie. How dare you? But, you know, again, I kind of stepped back and realized, well, like, A, I'm making a product for him. As much as I put myself into this movie, it's still, at the end of the day, a Charles Band product he's putting out there. And he just really cares about, do you have a movie I can put out there and sell? You know, all the other stuff is gravy, cake, icing on the cake.
right.
So I stepped back and realized, okay, plus, again, he's been doing this for 30, 40 years. Who am I to tell him that doesn't make sense? And again, that one reason why I never did go back and do an actual director's cut, because I do agree with most of the cuts he asked for and I made. The only thing being the swinger scene, which I think could be longer and be more like my original cut because of the jokes. But I think he just didn't like the actress or something, so he maybe cut it down. But, you know, I've been that way where you're just like, who are you to think to, you know, give me notes? It's whatever. But, you know, I think, like you say, you get in this long enough and it all falls down to, at the end of this day, yes, you are the director, you are the captain of the ship, but it's a collaborative experience. It's a collaborative effort. And I don't care how good of a tour you are as a director, you're foolish not to invite and accept and look into and be open to suggestions from other members of your crew, down from your AD to your producer to your writer to, again, the crafty guy. If he has an idea, let me hear it. You
Sure.
never know. I may think it's stupid and I'll humor you, or I'd be like, holy shit, I never thought of that. That'd be a great idea. You know, even like you said, I never in my wildest years thought we could get the hat on Buddy's head at the end of Gingerweed Man, but, you know, those guys said, let's do it. Or again, the squinting of the eyes when he's taking a dump. I never thought of it. Someone else did. And I didn't say, what are you doing? Why? I didn't ask for squinty eyes. I was just like, holy shit, thank you for squinty eyes.
Right.
And
Yeah,
again, my
yeah.
motto is, you know, if I really like something I've written, just give me a few good takes of it that way. And if you've got an idea of what you want to do, if I like it, if I think it works, let's give it a shot. You never know where it can go.
You have to be open. You
have
absolutely
to.
have to be open. I have in Xmas 2, my coworker at the time, no, yeah, Xmas 2, I let her read the script. She knows nothing about movies. She's just a movie goer. My coworker lives her life. And there's the scene in it where the security guard is confronting Drew Marvick as Santa.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and goes, and he has a flashlight, Drew has an axe. And she goes, who brings a flashlight to an axe fight?
Yeah.
And I went, who brings an axe? That night I went home, typed it into the script, and then took credit for it.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what we do. You know, like I said, it's not well, it is exploitive. It's why these are exploited films. It's not a bad exploitation, but again, oh, that burnt down. Great. I'm going to write burnt forest, you know, character comes through fucking forest. You know, oh, great line. Yeah, thanks for the line. But I mean, there's a lot of lines in Gingerweed Man that come from other movies. You know, just because that's the famous line, you're either in or in the way. It's from films from Duke Mitchell. I mean, that's his kind of calling, his go-to line. And I just wanted to carry that torch. It means something to me. I laugh at it, even if no one else laughs at it. I'm that type of guy. I'll put a billion in jokes in it, and I'll be the only one rolling on the ground going, I know what that means, even if you don't. Screw it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, there's definitely some stuff. Like I saw like a Blues Brothers poster up on the wall.
Yeah, that was the art director brought that in. There was that, the Excalibrate. There was because we couldn't get Sonny Rabbit from the Evil Bong movies, we had a painting of Rabbit in the background in his apartment, if you look back. let's see. Of course, Ooga Boogie's in there. The movie that Gingerweed and Ooga Booga are drinking off to is from Alien Cosmic Crush. Some extra deleted scenes that didn't make the cut there. And just kind of having, like, say, rat spit, the Batman head. There's Looney Tune sound effects to keep that feeling going. And then again, some of the things are just subconscious, like the slave girl Leah outfit. Or when he's about ready to fight Smokahontas and he's all, oh, it's either the hardware, it's either the easy way or the hard way. That's from Delta Force 2. There's a great general character, John Ryan, he plays him. Every time Chuck Norris does something, he's just like, always the hard way. And, that's where that bit comes from. So, yeah, all these little things I never realized sunk into my subconscious, but filtered out somewhere or the other. And to me, then it just makes that movie even more personal. It makes it to you. And again, you got so many people working on your project, you have to make it feel, if they feel like they're a part of it, again, you're going to get all that more out of them if they feel invested in that project as well.
Well, yeah, and it's there's a thin line of ripping off and homage.
Very thin line.
Yeah, and you guys definitely did homage. And I've seen way too many filmmakers out there just rip off.
Well, I think, thank you for that, because I rack my brain, like, because it is such a very fine line. And, I think, like, somebody does it well is like Tarantino, who can straight up rip something off, but you're like, but it's just because he likes it and he's getting it out there and paying an homage, where when you see it done wrong, it's so glaringly of a ripoff, so glaring, like, well, I have no talent, no art, I'm just going to do it this same way. And I think it just goes down to a quality of filmmaker who can pull it off, and again, give it its own spin, give it something you haven't seen before, or his own touch, but there's that familiarity of knowing what the joke already. Again, it just comes down to being a good director versus being a crappy director.
Yeah, because you can do something like Jaws and do the we're going to need a bigger boat. And in one film, you're just going to go, oh man, why did you just rip off Jaws? But then in another movie, you'll be like, that's funny. That's from Jaws.
That's it. It's like you said, it's such a weird balance, because you don't want to walk in going with your tongue too firmly planted in the cheek. You don't, at least for me, it doesn't work when me as an audience, great example is, if you remember a while ago, that movie Birdemic. It was like this horrible movie, these bad CG birds.
Love Birdemic.
Or even like The Room. They didn't set out to make a bad movie. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. And somehow you get this weird little movie that you love or hate. Then when they go to do a sequel, they know they're trying to make a bad movie. It's not going to work.
That's my huge problem with Birdemic 2.
Exactly.
The resurrection is, and
the joke.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Birdemic, shock and terror fan.
Yeah,
I have it on Blu-ray. There is no other way I would own that movie except on Blu-ray. I even got the riff tracks of it, which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But Birdemic 2, is this intentionally bad? Did he learn nothing from his film experience? And I still question that.
Well, that's it. Another example of Samurai Cop. It's this great 80s, 90s absurd action movie that has a cult following, and then they go to make a sequel, and they know, we have to make it absurd now. No, just you worked on the fact that you were oblivious to what you're even doing, and now that you're trying to make something bad and funny, it's not going to work. It doesn't have that heart and soul, because it's just going to be bad funny stuff. Poorly written.
Right.
It shows you don't know what you're doing. You just, like with Birdemic, you didn't know what you're doing, and that's what was so great about that movie, was you didn't know you were supposed to fade audio and have better birds. I love it because it's just so innocent in a way. Then when you go back and you think you know what you're doing, instead of, it's like, okay, let me try to mimic that, and it's like you can't recreate happy accidents. That's why they're happy accidents.
Right.
And I don't care how good you are, it's very rare I've seen it pulled off, because it is such a fine line between letting the audience know you are making fun, but you're not making fun. It's like kind of let them in on the joke, but not too much so that they are out of it and they just laugh, or they just don't get it.
Well, and that's what I like about Full Moon and what you guys do is I don't think Trancers was, like Charles Band was going, oh, this is going to be the Citizen Kane of,
Oh
he was,
no, yeah.
it just turned out to be a really cool sci-fi film, even though you could tell, oh, this is Blade Runner. Oh, this is
I
that.
think that's it.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's Puppet Master. Same thing is, I don't think somebody said, oh, this is, no, instead it caught on. Something with Puppet Master clicked to have like 10 movies.
Well, you're right. I think case like that, I think people just, we hone in. I mean, look at Chucky. There's something about dolls. Annabelle. There's something about these things coming to life that hits a nerve one way or the other, and it's a great visual. It's a great gimmick. So that's, but it has to be done well. And again, like you said, the Puppet Master world, it's a more serious world than, say, obviously the evil Bong worlds of puppets. That's why those worlds I don't think could cross over. Even demonic toys, there's a little too much humor, where I think that Puppet Master is more elegant. It's more the old universal feel of a horror movie, of it being serious with these doll creatures. And again, it's just knowing your audience and knowing the themes, and just playing into it. And I think Full Moon has done that well, again, because again, there's something about a Charles Band movie where even if you don't see his name in the credits, you kind of know you're seeing a Charles Band movie. Just the way the music, the actors, and
Right.
the way it's shot, edited. There's that tone. You just, it is its own little separate multiverse of movie making, cinematic universe. Trauma has, same thing with Trauma. Trauma has that vibe with all their movies, that dirty East Coast, New York, New Jersey vibe.
Yes, yeah.
Where Charlie has, it's Italy, it's little creatures, it's that Richard Band feel of the music. It is, even in our more Full Moon's most serious horror movie, there's always that little sense of the fantastical that you don't get with other horror movies. And I think that's, again, what kind of separates us, and what you're drawn to. Like, say, so Trancers, which, okay, at the time is a time travel Blade Runner ripoff that, no one expected to be anything, but it was done well enough that you're like, for what this is, this works 100%. It's believable. It may only be an hour, but you don't feel like you're dragging time, and you feel satisfied.
Oh yeah.
I love Gingerweed Man to be longer, sure, but at least I feel like you're getting your 45 minutes worth. You're not bored.
Oh, it's never boring.
If you're asking for more, that's even better, because I would love to give you more.
Yeah. I mean, I actually wanted it to be longer because I was laughing through it, especially with him on the scooter. Just here, then he goes there, then he goes.
I have a great idea for a sequel for a car chase. The car chase for the sequel. So, again, hashtag Gingerweed Man 2, people. Hashtag the audience.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that we definitely need that.
Restore the Gingerweed Man verse. It worked for Zack Snyder.
There you go. So, all right. Well, we've gone. We're getting close to 3 hours.
Man, is this going to be a marathon one? At least this will be the Zack Snyder version of the. I know. Leonard Cohen at the end and make it a slow motion.
There you go. Should we wrap this up?
Sure. Let's wrap it up, because wow, it's almost 9. I should have dinner at some point.
Yes. So do I. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. You got cats to feed and everything too. They're probably going crazy.
Yes. One just jumped up on the table. You could probably see my screen move a little bit. Boris just jumped up. So, but yeah. So what else? Is there anything else you would like to promote? Anything coming out in past, present, future?
I do want to say the Gingerweed Man, it is finally on DVD. I don't know about Blu-ray yet. I think it's something that will probably, that old evil double dip syndrome. But it's definitely available on DVD, fullmoondirect.com, $15. You get a free movie. I highly recommend it. John's got it there. It's free on Tubi. It's on our streaming site, which is, $7 a month. Amazon, $7 a month. I think, it's, you don't have to like weed movies. I think you just need to like crazy little comedies that are just purely entertainment. I think you'll love it. So I do hope you check it out. If you're up for something a little more titillating, check out Famous TNA 2 on fullmoonfeatures.com. Coming soon to DVD and Blu-ray for sure. And if anything, I want to thank you, John. This is great talking, and
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
you came into this really prepared, and it's just great to be talking to someone who gets it. Who's on the same wavelength, gets these movies, gets why we like these movies, not because we're weird, because it's just because these movies have a charm of their own, and we get that, and we love it for them. And so it was just really a nice experience to be on your show. And
Oh,
like I
thank
said, I
you.
didn't feel like 3 hours. It just felt like we're just having a great
No,
conversation. I keep
no,
looking.
it
I
did
just noticed
not.
how, I went from like you could see my room to now I better be in the light of the camera. You won't see me. You blend into the
Yeah.
shadows. It's over.
Every once in a while, the back of your room lights up. So
Yeah, I've got the TV going. And I had a ring light on the computer, which I guess because we went so long, the damn thing died out. So yeah, I'm trying to get an artsy vibe with my interview here.
There you go. Exactly. And what I got to say with Gingerweed Man is, because you brought up that, like you don't need to be like a stoner to watch it. There's plenty of people in the film who don't smoke weed. The lead, one of the lead actresses goes, no, I don't want to drink. I don't want to smoke. I don't want to do any of that stuff. It's really just, the Gingerweed Man who does a lot of pot smoking, but everybody else is pretty straight.
Real quickly, I know we've gone so long, but with the character Barbara, that was essentially her whole theme. Was I wanted her to be the one sense of somewhat reality in this movie that the audience could cling to and believe, okay, if she believes this is happening, then I can believe this is happening. So it was important that she was kind of the opposite of Gingerweed Man, opposites attract, whatever, but she was the brains to his stupidity. He's all high and partying, but she's responsible. She's lived that life. And that would have been played with later in sequels, which hopefully still happen. But
it does say Gingerweed Man will return.
That was my nod to James Bond movies. Every James Bond movie ends, James Bond will return. I don't know how or why, but he'll return. And I promise somehow or another Gingerweed Man will return. But yeah, again, I didn't want this to be a completely stoner type movie, because everyone writes the same stoner character. I wanted to have crazy characters, and that's why there's the weed montage. So we get our weed smoking in, but we just see an assortment of characters smoking weed, and it's not the same. Oh, what's up, man? Hey, whatever. It's just
right.
And plus it's legal. Vegas, it's legal. California, it's legal.
And he has a business.
It's not this underground dirty thing anymore. It's having a cigarette. So what can you do about it? And the guy's made of weed, so that's the only weed I need to concentrate on anyway. So
and it shows he has a business. He probably has a business license. He pays his taxes.
Well, that's why he's Barbara. She takes care of all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's a legit business. I mean, we've talked so much about everything that I still have like a page and a half of notes that we never got to. Like,
oh my lord,
like Taco Bell, fart power. But I have to ask about one thing.
Okay. Well, I can tell you the Del Tacos. I love Del Tacos, so that's why that's there. And you can't go wrong. I'm always a big proponent. You can't go wrong with a fart joke. I mean,
and that was a big green fart.
Ending, but at the end of the day, a fart joke always sells.
Now, I may be the only person who gets this besides you. I don't know.
Okay, we'll see.
I saw this name and I went, really? Is it? The voice of Buddy is Alexandra Quinn.
Oh, I think that's just someone random actress. And I will say that's probably, I hate to say it, that's one thing I am kind of unhappy about with the movie. Was originally I kind of more like the voice of Buddy, I wanted to be more kind of like Gizmo, kind of more like Howie Mandel, Bobby's World, kind of cutesy, but he's a boy. And we had that voice. Charlie liked the voice you hear. So she did a great job. Don't get me wrong. She knocked out of the ballpark. It just sounded a little too much like a little girl instead of a little boy nugget. But I probably cut you off, but I never met her. I don't know. Just that's the name of the actress who did the voice of the Buddy.
Because Alexandra Quinn, now this could just pure coincidence on the name, because I looked it up. I even checked out IMDb and all that because I'm a geek. Alexandra Quinn, not long after Tracy Lords got busted for being underage in porn, except she didn't have the comeback like Tracy did.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same one. be real honest with you. I'll look into that. If it's the same one, then that would be awesome. That would be like, wow, talk about happy accidents. Again, this
Yeah.
was someone who just, and at this point in the process, the voice of Buddy came at the very end. So imagine I've just shot this movie for 5 days, had the weekend off. I'm now in round the clock editing, basically getting an hour of sleep here or there. And finally, I got to pick the voice of Buddy, and I'm just like, okay, I can't have my voice. Fine, whatever you want. Okay, it's as Alexandra girl. Perfect. Thank you so much. You're awesome. So if that's the same woman, I'm going to look into that because that would be really awesome and might change my attitude about the voice. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. It's Alexandra Quinn, former porn star. Awesome.
Yeah, because she's not in your IMDb. She's not in the IMDb for the film.
Interesting.
So I'm just like, did somebody purposely not put her there? Because then if you clicked on her name, maybe it would go to porn. I don't know.
No, she was the very last component of the movie that she was cast and brought in. So I think at the speed and the rush, she just probably didn't make the list. In fact, I had to remind the guys, like, because they did the chapter 1 end credits and you really don't hear Buddy. So I'm like, okay, don't forget, we got to put the voice of Buddy in because we're going to hear Buddy, don't forget to redo that,
Yeah. Okay.
So, deep diving on your end, which makes me now want to check into it because you just don't know.
I know a lot of unnecessary things. So
you're like me. I'm a huge encyclopedia of useless facts that come out some form or another in my work. And I'm catching them.
I am. So I'm hoping. My fingers are crossed for this one. Couple other things that don't let you go.
For sure.
I noticed Cuban cigars and it says Amazon Prime.
That was just, we needed boxes. So those were the boxes we had at our disposal.
Okay.
And we were thinking, okay, these are bad guys doing, white slavery. What would they be trading? Cuban cigars. Okay. And for me, I was like, oh boy, it has to say Amazon. Then I'm like, it's a joke. Amazon, why the hell not?
Okay. Then we have, is it Kaya, Queen of Weed Heaven?
Yes, Kaya.
So she was a little cutie. I liked her coming in.
Oh no, she was an awesome actress. And Kaya, that's a direct reference to a Bob Marley song.
Oh.
And it's actually a euphemism for weed in Jamaica. But he wrote this song and it was kind of about a muse and he never explained it. So I kind of went with it because hey, it's a cool name, Kaya, Weed Queen. And then I thought, well, if she's Kaya the Weed Queen, then that's why Bob Marley wrote the song, because she came to Bob Marley and inspired Bob Marley with weed. So he wrote the song Kaya. So that's the explanation of the Kaya. So that's a great little inside reference.
Okay, that makes sense. I do like Toke Break. I thought that was funny.
That's when you touched on why there are 2 chapters. We released it in 2 chapters. And so that was a way to bridge the 2 chapters for the feature length version. And kind of like my inspiration was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they have the intermission in the middle. And don't tell anyone because of copyright, but that's the same music. So,
oh,
if you watch Holy Grail, it's the same music.
Take from the best. Take from the best.
But that's where that idea came from. And again, it was for me to add some more footage to the movie, even if it's just a minute. I could do the voice, had a little smoke effect, had the animation, a little logo, and thought, you know what? It's a weed movie. It worked perfectly to bring the 2 chapters together.
Okay. And I think this is the last one, actually. Redneck Conservative Landlord.
Right. Well, there's a couple references there. The main reference was I'm a big Ren and Stimpy fan. So I love George Liquor, a little character from Ren and Stimpy. So it was this big, loud, conservative, kind of Alex Jonesy guy. Another kind of little subconscious reference of just wanting to have this loud, angry guy who's the antithesis, the Mr. Wilson to Dennis the Menace. That's kind of what that character was to Gingerweed Man. It's like this crazy landlord, like, what are you doing to my place, you little weed man? And so I wanted that idea of that George Liquor just eyes bugging out and stuff. There's actually a little bit more of him that I had to cut out. You'll see in deleted footage on the DVD. And then his name, Stadenko, comes from Stacy Keach's character from the Cheech and Chong movies, where he was Captain Stadenko. And originally, that was kind of my dream casting was, do you think we could get Stacy Keach to be the landlord?
Oh.
He could be Stadenko, and he would be great because he's got that, he could be crazy old landlord look. But, probably couldn't afford them, and SAG rules. So we got my buddy Jay Nihilus, who's been in a couple Full Moon movies. And, you know, I told him the vibe, what I wanted. And he came in, and his big thing was he had the hat. I never had the hat in mind. You know, he's supposed to just kind of have that military crew cut. But he said, oh, I got to wear the hat. I'm like, well, you know what? Because I like you. And, you know, I'm supportive.
It's a little MAGA.
Wear the hat. So, you know, and it did add. So, you know, he comes in and has this whole thing of boys being girls and girls being boys, and, you know, liberal mass hysteria. You know, that stuff was cut. And actually, I did a little gag where his face was going to turn bright red and boil like a tea kettle. But yeah, that was just a nod to George Licker, Ren and Stimpy, and Cheech and Chong movies with that character. And again, if we were doing sequels, again, that was going to be the Mr. Wilson, the Dennis the Menace kind of vibe these two would have. He may not be a essential character, but it always have a little run in. And yeah, there's actually, like in the sequel, he would have to turn to him for help, like, oh, Mrs. Stanko, I need your help to save the day. And he's like, all right, you know, ready, you know, conservative MAGA kind of going this. But I didn't want it to be a MAGA Trump thing, really. Just an overall crazy, highly caffeinated gentleman, per se.
Well, and they used to back in the day. There was, like you said, Dennis the Menace. There was always that. Even the Monkees had Mr. Babbitt, who was their landlord during the first season, who would always be bashing on the door, or Beverly Hillbillies had the guy from what's his face from the bank. Mr. Drysdale from the bank.
It just played in that kind of, again, and I kind of modeled. I even entertained the idea of, like, while you're in the apartment, doing a laugh track like you're watching a sitcom, you know, and shoot it like a sitcom, like a 3-camera sitcom setup. And then of course you would have the landlord character coming in and, you know, ha ha ha, and all this stuff. I thought that might get a little too much for the here and now, but I just thought it was a cool character to play with Gingerweed Men, play off of him.
Okay. Will Gingerweed Men ever have like parents or sisters, brother, any siblings, anything like that?
I don't know about parents. I mean, he does have parents, essentially Evie and Rabbit from part 6. Siblings, you know, I think.
Oh yeah, because they created.
Yeah, that was his creation. Evil Bong 666. He was created to do good, and kind of win his own way. While he does have Buddy, and in theory would be raising Buddy in future installments, I don't think he would have family. I envision more that I want to do other drug puppets. You know, I had an idea to do like a little lump of cocaine puppet and have, like, you know, a little Scarface voice. You know, if you remember, one of the Evil Bong movies ended with Evil Bong versus the Killer Crack Pipe. You know, go down that route. You know, just have different little. Here's another little really deep dive nugget. Robert O'Rourke, who works with Full Moon, he was like, Brooks, I have an idea for a character. He's this little sad beer can called Hophead Harry. You know, we got to do that character. I'm like, okay, I'm into it. I see it. You know, but we don't have the budget to do a character. But I ended up having a friend do a little Hophead Harry poster. So if you look again at the apartment wall in Gingerweed Man, you'll see this little sad beer can poster. So I would envision doing little characters that could go along with Gingerweed Man. You know, join them that weren't already established characters, but they're not going to be related. He's his own. We broke the mold. Why bother?
Okay, there you go.
And I would say Buddy would probably be as close to a relative per se. And, you know, he would, in fact, we kind of go through a puberty of sorts. And I do have a trilogy lined out. There is an end game. There's plenty of room for many adventures, but there is an eventual end game of where I would like how all these characters will intercede and collide and connect and pay off in the end.
Oh, that's awesome. So there you go. I think that's a good place to end it.
There you go. Let's tease everybody. So yeah. Again, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to see how you come out with this and this epic installment of One Filmmaker, One Film.
Oh yeah, it is epic. Lots of information is learned here. So now people go watch the movie if you haven't seen it. Watch it through. It's one of those rare times on Tubi where they don't interrupt because it does have that end scene.
The commercials are right in the right place.
Yeah. So watch it all the way through. Watch that little making of. It's like 10 minutes. And I think you'll appreciate the film even more, knowing the hard work that went into it.
Well, thank you. And I just realized this interview is about 4 times as long as the movie.
That's true. So yeah, and this will be out next Wednesday.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, here you go. Watch the movie, watch all the special features, and then get your ultimate director's commentary right here with the great John Ward.
And the great Brooks Davis, of course.
Well, thank you, sir. You know, I hope to be back with more movies, and you know, hey, maybe we'll flip it one day, and when the new Xmas comes out, I'll be the one filmmaker, and we can, you know, ask you all about. Interview yourself. That would be
interesting. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, kind of like a guest host in a way where, like, if I went on vacation, you would take over.
There you go. You know, you have a revolving. You got a bunch of great filmmakers out there, and you know, hey, why not? It's a great concept. You know, I've always been a fan of it. It's a great idea because, again, we have to be supportive of one another in this industry.
Yes.
And especially this micro budget industry. We have to have our backs and promote each other, you know, so it's great. And, you know, I should say, you did ask, you know, we've got the DVD here.
Oh, there it is.
I'm going to get your autograph and sent to you personally. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
And a proud edition, and want everyone else to buy it. And if I'll be at Monster Palooza, I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con, bring it, sign it. If you want to fly me in for appearances, hey, shit, pay me for free. Pay for the flight and dinner, I'll be there.
There you go. So it's out there now. People just have to take advantage of it.
You know, they say Tubi for free and $14.99. Support physical media. That's the main thing. Yeah, it's streaming. It's awesome, but you know, physical media. Let's keep.
You don't get those deleted scenes. I want to see those deleted scenes now.
You get. Excuse me, but I mean, you get director's commentary. So you get my commentary throughout the movie. I'll talk about stuff. Hit a lot of stuff. Hit here stuff we didn't. Deleted extra footage. So extensions of scenes, stuff I cut, bloopers, and then I even included all the little promos for Full Moon that I did with Gingerweed Man. You know, our sale promo, stuff like that.
This is packed.
It's a loaded, you know, a DVD with all the cool stuff. You'll get your money's worth.
Man, I am excited now. So I'm going to watch this once I get it. You know, I'll watch it that day. So yeah, I'm very excited. So, you know, that's people pick this up. So the Full Moon stuff is good, and this is. You know, this Brooks' first directing film. Definitely, you know, support him. Pick it up.
You know, I appreciate. You know, we all got to start somewhere, and I'll be the first one to tell you this movie isn't perfect. It's, you know, I can see where it's rough around the edges, but it's my baby, and I truly think it works. You know, if you just, you know, whether you smoked your brain or if you just go along with the fun ride, it's a fun 45 minutes, and you can enjoy it. And I think that's, you know, you kind of hit on it with Full Moon. We are kind of coming to this renaissance resurgence because, you know, the streaming market has allowed for us to create content that doesn't need to be 2 hours. It could be what it needs to be. It doesn't need to reach, it can reach an audience, but we're not worried about reaching such a mass audience. You know, it can get discovered. I do believe Gingerweed Man at some time will be this little movie that gets discovered on 420. It's like, oh, this is the it movie to watch. You know, it's so crazy cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be a film, you know, to watch on then.
It's this this industry, this business it's about the marathon, not the quick race. You know, I'm 47. I've been in this industry 10 plus years, you know, and I just made my first movie. So, you know, it's going to happen. It can happen. And, you know, I want to tell anyone out there who's inspired or wants to get in this business, grab a camera. I don't care if it's your iPhone, Canon, Blackmagic, whatever. Get out there and shoot stuff, practice, learn. Don't be afraid, you know, call your friends and learn and do it because the opportunity is there and the avenues are there, and do it. This is the time. Don't be a snob.
Don't be a snob about it.
No, you know, remember who inspired you guys, but you know, just get out there and make movies because the second you make a movie, you're a filmmaker.
Yeah. I still, you know, there's a growing community out here in Vegas. I work for free all the time.
Yeah.
And I learn something every single time. And I've made short films. You know, I've done a feature.
A good meal or,
yeah,
you know, let me walk away with a connection like, oh, hey, you do great wardrobe. Let me get you on my movie. If I can't
exactly.
So it is, you just have to be of that mindset. This is a family. You want to meet new people to better yourself, better them.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, there you go. Okay.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Epic.
Yes, it's very epic. And once again, everybody, I'm going to put links down below so you can take advantage of that.
Get mine, get the Gingerweed Man.
There you go. So
buy this, get that for free. It's an incredible deal.
Yeah.
Again, so a solid almost hour and 10 minutes of entertainment.
There you go. So, all right, everybody, we are going to take off because we need to go eat.
I know. Yeah, he's got cats. Who knows? It's 9 o'clock. The bars are opening. We got to have some fun here. Celebrate.
There you go.
Awesome
It's dark. Look how dark it is behind me. I mean, it's pitch black behind me.
I know you've had the background, but what would be great, audience, you can see the sun actually set in this interview.
Yes. For those who don't believe the sun sets.
Exactly. And cover up my messy room. Thank you, cover of night.
So, all right, everybody, next Wednesday, watch this. You're going to love it. And thank you, Brooks, once again. I really do appreciate it, man. And all of you on again.
My pleasure. And it was great doing this with you. It was great working with you on Evil Bong 777.
Oh, same.
It's been great watching you find yourself out there and deal with some, haters and nonsense and persevere and not let it get you down. And all the best to you and all my power and all, like I said, again, all my best to you and
thank you. All the best to you
because you deserve it. And I love seeing you out there doing your thing. I love when you're making a movie. I love when I see you dressed up acting. So, keep up the good work, hard work.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And the same to you. So please direct more, make more, create more, be that new, full moon guy for me. So
that's my plan and that's my goal. And keep up. I love the storage photography. I always love what you find out there.
Oh, thank you. I find some interesting things. So
I love odd things. And like I said, you never know what you could find that would lead to a crazy story. So, that's why I always enjoy that stuff. So keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I'm going to sign off. Brooks is going to sign off. And I will see you
guys
on the next One Filmmaker, One Film.
We'll do it again. I'll be naked and we'll be OnlyFans exclusive.
We'll both be naked. Yes.
There you go. You're already comfortable. So it's the next step.
Yes, exactly. If you're willing to do it, I'm willing to do it.
Let's do it. We'll do the next one. Will be the nude one for Famous TNA 2.
Be One Filmmaker, two filmmakers, two naked on film.
We'll one cut, one cup, something. We'll get them out there.
We'll get it. We'll do it.
There you go.
All right, everybody.
There's someone in Vegas. Watch out.
All right, everybody. You have a good night, good day, whenever you're watching this, and I will talk with you later.
You got it.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.